Hello. So I know there's quite a few of you guys who have mentioned there's like 4 of you guys who can't make it today, which is a pity since it's our last class. I wish I'd known earlier. There's some stuff I need to teach you today that is pretty important that I could have shown it to you last week, but hopefully you're watching this recording and you'll learn it from the recording. That said, someone has to show up for me to teach this last class. So I'm going to sit here and wait for somebody to show up. I'm going to be busy doing some other stuff. So you will see me working until someone shows up. Fact. Oh, here comes Paula. Hola, Paula. How are you?
Hi.
Mhm,
I'm setting up my computer, my station.
Okay. No
Am I
hurry.
the only person?
The 3 people who normally show up early aren't coming today, Paula and Howard. And then Moni always shows up a bit later, but she's not coming either. She has a board meeting. So right now, of my regulars, you are the first one.
Oh, okay.
And other people join us usually a bit later.
Okay. And I
So,
think I'm gonna try the with the video now because we got like an internet extension package, so it's supposed to be better.
okay, cool.
Yeah, and then if it's not, we're just gonna have to switch the whole thing. So
All right. Well, you tell me when you're ready. I am just
yeah, I need the 2 minutes. I'm just bringing a chair
yeah,
and I'm setting up my station.
no hurry, because I'm not going to start teaching the air. So,
Diana, I did wanted to ask you something. If you have any recommendation of place of a like a good place to print business cards. You're muted. I can't. You're muted.
oh, thank you. Um, so I was saying for better for worse, that was today's homework was to do research on possible printing uh places. Um,
Oh, okay. I thought it was just like the specs and stuff.
well, exactly. It was that, but also to get an idea of budgets and things like that. Because if you decide you want to print 1,000 business cards and you want them to be color on both sides or whatever, then you compare in 2 or 3 different places to see the price. But as usual, cheapest isn't necessarily best. the weight of the paper where it matters too. I was going to show you some of those things today.
I did go to a couple of places actually. I didn't know it was homework, but anyway, I'm doing this anyway. Uh, and then yeah, like some places the minimum is like 500, but like I went to this place and I didn't like the paper and the
Mhm.
finish of the paper, so I was like, no, I don't want this place.
Yeah. So it all depends on how much you're willing to pay and how long you have to wait, like if you're in a hurry or not. I remember once we
Mhm.
were in a real hurry, we needed something for that weekend and we had something done in one place and then we had the bulk of it done in another place. And even though we thought we'd chosen the same paper, it turns out that the ones that they could make quickly were much flimsier than the other ones. And then we noticed that that first one hadn't really given us a choice of paper, but we were in such a hurry that we just had it done anyway. It worked. We had them in 2 days versus the other one took 10
Yeah.
days. So, it all depends on your needs, but I can't necessarily recommend one place or the other. I know that I've seen things done in Moo, which is one of the more expensive ones, but they look gorgeous. Um,
I saw someone
so
yeah, like I think the most important would be to look nice, like design wise, not just like a
well,
piece of
the
paper.
design is up to you. The quality in which they print it does have to do with the
The
thickness of the
paper
paper, coated or not coated, that kind of stuff. And you can choose that in many different places. I don't think you'll be able to tell really is
until
the difference between the quality until you actually get it, right?
I
So,
saw someone posted
hi,
something
Patty.
about this moo, no?
What's that?
Someone posted something about this moo.
I had posted a sample on the specs of Moo as the sample of what to do as homework.
Ah, okay,
Um,
I see here. They're from California?
I don't know where they are. Hi, Patty. I was mentioning that a few of my regulars that show up early are not able to be here today. And then one of the regulars that shows up late can't be here today. So there's four people who can't be here for sure. So anyway, I'm glad you and Paula showed up. So I'm not very sure how many Barbara is going to show up at some point, but other than that, I'm not sure how many more people are going to show up. So good timing to ask any questions that you have. Um, Let me share my screen. Paula's asking me about printing and quality. Um, like, do I have a place to recommend? And I'm going to say that I haven't used online printing that much other than for certain projects here and there. I used to have you know, working with printers who do, 10,000 books is not the same as the guy who'll do your postcards or business cards or stuff like that. Um, so in the end, all I know is when I've seen someone give me a card that I'm like, whoa, this is gorgeous, and I ask where they printed it, that kind of thing. And I've seen some really pretty ones. I was mentioning that I had seen some pretty ones on Moo. So in the sample in the work that I put in there, that company Moo is the one that I told you that I have seen some really pretty things from them. But and so back to what I was saying with Paula, the design is up to you, unless you use their templated designs, right? Um, but the question is making sure that you, within your budget, decide the weight of the paper, the quality, how many colors, is it going to be back and front? Some of these companies can do, and it's even more expensive, but it's really pretty. Um, I saw an artist the other day who, when you picked up the cards, each card was different. And she had like 5 or 6 designs before it repeated. Of course, it's much more expensive, right? But they're really gorgeous. And in a sense, it's just an artist. Each one was a piece of art, right? There's the ones that are cute little squares, little circles, little, so I don't know, the more fancy stuff you get, the fancier it will look. But if your design isn't necessarily more fancy, then it won't help. So over here, I have some companies research. So do you want to just tell me about your conclusions of the companies that you researched, Patty, since you have that there, and Paula, you said you had mentioned it. And then I have some stuff from Peggy. Um, so yeah, so
Yeah.
Moo is one of
Um,
yours, okay?
oh yeah, yeah. Sorry. I'll be honest, I I was just a little bit unclear with the assignment, so I just did it to what I understood. But I researched three companies.
Mhm.
Um I researched Moo, and then I researched a company called Vista Prince, and then another, Shutterstock. And I know Shutterstock's pretty popular. So I just wanted to include
Okay.
that as well.
Shutterstock prints business cards too. I didn't know that. See, for
Yeah.
example. Okay.
Um, it was really interesting though, like what Shutterstock had. I can post it in the chat right now because they didn't have like your traditional, let me see. They didn't have your traditional
Hi, Jared.
size thing. Um yes, so
And
I didn't
you're gonna
go with.
post it or are you gonna share?
Oh, I just shared the link to the Shutterstock
Oh, in the chat.
business. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Let me click on
Mhm.
it. Hi,
It was
Eric. We're
just
talking a little bit about the homework. Yeah. So tell me what when you say it was different in
yeah, if you
Shutterstock
go
is
down.
usually a place that does royalty-free images, and so I would have
Mhm.
never thought of them as a place to print a business card. So this is news to me. So that's good.
Mhm. Or maybe
So,
I just did it, I don't know, maybe this is the blog, but it did say like a
no,
little bit
no, it
more.
does. It seems to say business services.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So it's
And
probably.
actually, Canva is also providing print services now.
Mhm.
That's good to, I didn't know Canva did that too. That's actually really good to know. But I
Yeah.
think like further down the page is when they have like an example. It's like an orange example. And it's like kind of talking about the bleed area and stuff, like a little bit there. And
So
then
this seems like an informative. This isn't really them. This is them teaching, I guess, about the differences between them from what I'm scanning really quickly. But here it's showing you about no bleed versus bleed. So yeah, it's basically teaching you what I've been teaching you. This is the trim, and it says don't do that. Extend yourself into the bleed, right? Extend your
oh, I
background into the
see.
bleed so that it meets the edges of your card. So this is basically the class that I've been teaching you.
Hmm.
Um, Keep the
Yeah.
elements in the safe zone. Okay, so that's the area that's the margin that I was telling you about. So each company uses a different name for those things. But yeah, business cards come in different sizes, which is why you need to. Yeah, so this is informational. I still don't
Okay.
know that Shutterstock does business cards, but so here's showing you all the different versions that you could make. Rounded, not rounded. So yeah,
Mm.
this is more like an article, which is a great article, but I don't know.
Oh, that must have been, yeah, that's why I was confused. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes
because
more
you mentioned they
sense.
are different. Yeah, because they are not, as far as I know, they don't print. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is more like, hey, if you're going to be doing a business card, this is information. It's a great article. It's probably their blog, so that's great. Thank you. But back to the,
Yeah.
but you
But I didn't, yeah, I didn't
one is
look,
from
look.
Moo, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Moo is really good too. I like that Moo spent some time on their site teaching people also about what's good and what's this kind of printing versus that kind of printing. So I kind of like Moo, maybe beyond the fact that I saw some cards that looked really good. I liked their site, that they're very educational. Like all the questions that you have are going to work. Um, but that said, they're also much more expensive, right? So can't have it all. Anyway, and here's the template that you recreated, so that's great. You've got your bleed, and this is just pasteboard that you cut, but so that's your bleed, that's your trim, that's the safe size. Now remember that even though this is the safe line, it's the other edge of the possible mistakes. So you should never put text to that. So what's missing here? That's what the specs called for Moo. But what you need to always is add what's your margin beyond the safe area. Basically, it should be in and out of bleed. It should be called, but for some reason, this is called bleed. It's called the safe area because it's basically the inverse of the bleed. But then inside of that, we still need to put in a margin to guide us how far we're going to go. And that actually, it's interesting because it's this that you pointed to the orange one. It's right under the orange. Where is it? Um, Wait, they showed it here. Here. It's So this is the bleed area. This is the safe zone. It's the opposite of the bleed area. But see how they don't put things, this here would be the opposite of the bleed area, but the text is still further in, right? That's what we call margin. And they call it safe zone, but in reality, the safe zone is what they call safe zone here. The size they gave you is the opposite of the bleed. So that isn't really the safe zone according to this. It's the margin is where they're putting this, right? And that edge is the same as if you distance this from that, it's the same distance, that from that, it's the same distance. So it gives it as cohesive, you know. That said, I'm interested in because in this design, if you look at their trim line, that's bad. This is bad design. Look at their trim line. Look at the edge. If I go to trim and it cuts there, right? See how that line is where they're going to cut? That design is not good. Wow. So funny. Can you tell why it's not good? Because if they cut even a little bit more or a little bit less, well, that's fine. It'll look white. But if some, and you get a batch of 1,000 and they all don't get cut at the same time, you're going to get 500 over there, 500 over there, and 500 over there, right? It's just a little bit more or ever. And then you'll have that teensy little line because they took the white, they forgot to take the white towards the bleed. If you're going to want this business card to be like that, if that's the intention, then that white should have extended. And if the intention is that they want the white logo to be inside the card like that, then it has to be on this inside of the safe zone. How funny that they put an example and make it the wrong example. Arr, come on, guys.
And
'Cause
in the other
teaching you that this is
example,
the
they
safe
actually
zone.
show that.
What?
If go up, like
Yeah.
like they show this is wrong.
They show this is wrong, but they correct it because they gave an orange bleed, which is fine for the rest of it, but right there it doesn't help because that's going to be cut off. So it's they should have put this, oh my God, they should have put this starting there. They just need to bring it down more, or they need to extend the white to the edge, right? This is another big old eh. They should have the third version of moving the ML down. Oh, how funny. Anyway, so much for, that's the thing about, say ChatGPT or whatever, or any of these blogs, you learn, you read, but then that doesn't mean that they're saying the right thing. That's like real knowledge, right? Like actual experience. This is keep the elements inside the safe zone. While they don't do that, they just show the arrow that this is a safe zone. And then for the top, they ignored it. So the safe zone has to be all around, guys. Okay. But anyway, this is great. Thanks for bringing this up. And other than that example, it's a great explanation. They just didn't give a good example. Cool. And then Paula, you used, what's this company?
No
No,
issue.
Packaging Alliance. Okay, a new one. I always like to see, I don't,
And
I've
I
never seen
think,
this
can
one.
you refresh because I added something in the comments that I don't see there.
Oh, okay. It's not
Oh,
here yet.
that's so weird.
Did you post it on another one? No.
No,
Okay, well, it should come. Maybe it'll take a little bit to come in.
no,
There
it's,
it is.
oh, try again.
There it is. It came in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't press enter, so sorry. I thought I had.
So, what I wasn't clear because last week people came in little bits and pieces, and I had started to talk about the homework first, then I mentioned it quickly at the middle and quickly at the end. So I didn't really explain the whole goal of the homework, which was make a decision about something. You need 1,000 cards, you need 500, you need 200 postcards. Have an idea of what your job was, and then go to 3 companies and try to compare. If I try to make 200 of these in this company versus that, and like what the specs would be, the paper, the size, all the different things. But the InDesign part of it, which is what you did, was get the specs and then rebuild the template. So that's great. But then the comparing the budgets, that's the part that's missing. But you guys can still do that, even though it's not for me for homework. It's for you guys to be able to compare same to same, right? So anyway, this is hang tags, I guess. Yep, hang tags. And they show you what's the trim, the save, the bleed area. All of these, what they ignore is the margin, right? They say that's safe, but they forget that that doesn't mean that you can design to that. That said, if you had put that white thing to this edge, that still would be good. but in the example, they put it to the dotted line. So it tells you recommend what font size to use, what paper. So anyway, it's a bit more of a teaching. And then over here, custom folded home tags. What did you put here? Oh, because these are going to fold, right? So
Yeah.
can you see how this is going to be, you guys? This is going to be basically, I happen to have a little card here. This is a card. Someone wrote to me a card. But if you put it in this mode and punch a hold right there, that's what this is representing. Can you see? It's going to be the center right there is the fold line, right? And then on one side, you have the design on the side, and then those are the holes that'll go right there, and it'll hang like that, okay? And you can print on the inside or on the outside or all the ways you want, okay? So that's a hang tag. Probably the proportions are different, but yeah. And that's how you would design it, right? You would create one page at that size, and here it's telling you the folded size is going to be 70, it's in millimeters, 75 by 76, but the unfolded is double, right? It's 2 times the 76, and there's a punch hole and there's a paper color. So they're showing you how to set it up.
Yeah.
So
I see now that the logo is kind of too close to the hole.
yeah, if this is where the hole is going to be punched, that would be a problem, right? And
Yeah,
think
and
about it, if you didn't see where the hole is going to be punched, right, which is called the safe area, if you look at this, if like you could hit the W if this was InDesign, it would look like the logo is centered, which is great, right? But when you see the safe area and the line in the cut, that's going to look like the logo's right on the hole and it's going to look uneven. So there's this thing called center, and then there's optical centering, and then there's the centering for the actual design, where you need to consider the margin between the end and the design should be between this hole and the design. So the whole thing is going to look like it's pushed over, right? But if you print it like this, I wish we could have this set up and then the W, you would notice that this X, which looks really centered, look at that, it's really centered, that area code. But because of the hole, it's going to look off. Once you cut it, it's going to look like it's too close to the hole. So visually, it should come down a couple millimeters. Does that make sense? To make some
yeah.
space. And of
And
course,
also
in
it
this case,
said
it's because it's cut out.
in the specifications was saying that if there is a QR code, it should be at least 20 millimeters, something like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, some people make them too small. You need to have QR codes because it needs to be enough definition. When the printer goes in there, if this line has to be really thin because it's a tiny QR code, those little lines might end up being like less than a millimeter big. That's too small for it to really print correctly. And so just a little mistake in the print might make it not work. So there's a minimum size that the QR code has to be for it to read as a QR code, right? So sometimes you're like, but my tag is so small, I'm going to use the whole back side for that. Which I don't have it. Do I have a sample here? We made some, my husband's a potter, and we made some little tags that we put in the pieces that people buy. And it's a little square card, but the back side is pretty much a whole QR code and just a little byline that's in front. But that's it. The whole QR code has to hold the whole. And then the front side is where we put the JV pottery and stuff like that. But yeah, they take the good QR code needs its space to be. All right, cool. I think you didn't create the template to that. And then, Eric, did you post anything? No, you just have the work from before. Okay.
I had a quick question about it. Because I was looking at it last night. Yeah, were we supposed to download the template for InDesign or for Illustrator?
I would have preferred not downloading any and with the specs to make your own template, which is what Patty did here. Like she created it in InDesign. So I didn't want
Okay.
necessarily a downloaded one. You can download one and use that.
Mhm.
But my
Okay.
goal was to have you guys remake it. Don't worry, it's
Um,
not about the homework. I obviously didn't explain it correctly.
Yeah.
If 3 of you didn't get it, then well,
Okay.
Patty got it. So
I
it's
was just a
not about
little
whether
confused.
you did it or not. It's more
Mhm,
like when you get the specs,
mhm.
then if you use theirs, and in fact, if you had the chance to download 3 and you open them up, you'd notice that they're made differently each time. and you need to be able to recognize what is what. But even when they make them, when you open it, and I think I opened one last time. Here, let me go to InDesign, but I'm not sharing InDesign yet. No, I didn't open it in InDesign then. When you download it and and you open it up, it's probably going to look like this. Because they're trying to make it very visible, these lines are pretty thick. Those are lines that they've actually created with a line as if it were a line, you know. So you can't leave that line, that little dotted line on, or it'll appear in your business card. You know what I mean? Because the way they're set up, they didn't make it with guides. They made it like this to show it to you, but you still have to use it on a different layer to not use their thing. You still need to use your own. I think I downloaded
I just put a screenshot of what I was looking at last night through
okay,
Vistaprint.
let me refresh.
That's why I was wondering. I was thinking I should have done it in InDesign, but then I did see the template for Illustrator, so
Here
I
we
got a
go.
little confused. I was like, I don't know if it'll work better in
Well,
Illustrator.
here's the thing, depending on the company, they're gonna give you, so here's the, what's this from where? Vistaprint, okay. So you can either do a PDF template, which, you know, makes no sense because you can't, well, not that it makes no sense. For some people it works, but to use it as a template to put in the background, but you can't really modify a PDF really well enough to create a whole design into it. But some people aren't creating design, they're using their templates or something like that. SVG, right, which is a vector image that other apps like Illustrator could handle, or Illustrator itself, right? But if you have an AI Illustrator and you don't have Illustrator and you have to open this in other vector type of processing programs, they're going to want an SVG. Now, SVG is really not usually used for print per se, but it's what goes as a file. It's how you would upload a vector file to the internet. You would upload it as an SVG, right? So it's usually an ending an ending type of image, or unless you're going to do web banner or something like that. But if you're going to do something that's print, of all these three, I would go with Adobe Illustrator. Now over here, where it says download design instructions, it would be nice to see what came with that. But over here, they're basically to avoid white edges, extend your design to the bleed line, okay, not to the safe sign. Keep text and images within the safety area. Not really, as you all know, further in than the safety area. But it gives you all the specs, and with these specs, hopefully you would have built one. Now, I don't know yet if this is a business card or a postcard or whatever it might be. But if
Yeah,
you go
it's the business card template.
yeah, but so this is 211 by 361. You go to other places and a business card is 2 by 3. Other places a business card is 2.5 by 3. Other places is 2 by 3.5. It depends. You'd think business cards are all the same, right? But by millimeters, they're not. And you can tell that when you go to a few different ones. So was this a business card? Yeah. So over here, the trim size was 3.3 by 216. Okay, 3.3 by 216. And then the one that you just told me, which is a business card, is 211 by 361. You see that? And the other one was 3.3 by 216. So it's like, okay, 216 versus 211, or 3.3 versus 361. That's quite a bit of a difference, right?
Yeah.
You can't just give one of them your design and then go, oh, I'm going to give it to the other one. You can't make a template for one company and then go, I'd rather send this one to Moo, because Moo had different specs. Or does that make sense, you guys?
Yeah.
This is 346 by 232. No, that was the bleed area. Sorry. The trim area. 333 by 216. Okay, 333 by 216. And this one was 361 by 211, right? So they've inversed it, but it's basically the comparison. They're like off by quite a few little points there, which might not seem much, but those millimeters do make a difference. Is this business card too? No, see this one, just this one here that's posted just has the markings, but it doesn't have the sizes. So that must be in a different document. But this is a postcard. And over here you can tell, because here it's telling you also, and this is important, what would be the area that you should have only left for the mailing address? You can't put any design in that area. And then over here, nothing below this line to put an address. So if you're going to have it sent, it needs to be in front of this, because if you have any email address or zip in this area, it might be confused with the mailing address, right? Because machines read these things. So there's places and locations for stamps. So you have to go to the US, if you're going to send it, USPS, let's say mailing specs or something like that. And then it tells you, when are you mailing? Like the maximum it can be is this big, the minimum it can be is that big. Where do you put so if you guys are really going to do something for real that you need to do, mailing standards, right? You need to go in there and it tells you for each thing what it needs to be, what size it needs to be, all that kind of stuff. You have no idea how many times designers have designed some awesome special thing, and just because it was 3 millimeters too big, like a quarter of an inch too big, the company has to pay double to send it. It's a great design, but you've cost the company double the money because instead of being the right size. So maybe you made a postcard, the maximum was supposed to be 6 by 4 1/4. What if you made a 6 by 4 1/2? Uh-uh. The post office is going to charge you as a small poster. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to pay double to send that thing. So you have to keep yourself to the minimum sizes and maximum sizes that if you're going to send it by USPS that they're going to consider. So anyway, all things you need to think about and consider. Okay? If you're mailing it. Okay, but they have all the information out there. It's just researching. Okay. All right. Well, cool. Thanks for those of you who did the research. And I forgot to ask you for the portion that had to do with budget. But the only reason I cared about that is so that you could begin to see that there's so many different price ranges from edge to edge. I have a bunch of different things here that I wanted to show you, but I'm not sure. Did I bring them all? Here I have, I was doing some organization with my studio yesterday and I have some stuff here. Did I bring the paper samples? Okay, so first of all, I wanted to show you a version. I have some film postcards that I showed you the other day, a Pantone swatch book, and a sample, paper sample. I'm going to start with the paper sample only because that's a little bit of what we're saying right now. So if you really get into this job to be a designer, we're pushing it here. This isn't for like your one thing you're going to do for your company or your home for business, but you should start calling paper companies, right? And getting samples of paper and what they have and what they don't have. But even if you're printing for one of these quick little print online guys, they might be able to send you some samples. And so I have like boxes of this that I should get rid of at this point. But they send you some really fancy stuff. I was art director at a company for a while and I still have some for those. So Mohawk is a company. Let me turn the blur background off for a second. So this is Mohawk is a paper company that's really fancy paper. Let me see. I need to turn this on a bit more. Have a better light on it. Put some light on this. Is that a bit better? You can see it a little bit better. I don't know. So anyway, this is an example of a little booklet and you really have to feel it, right? But they give you examples of all the different. So here, can you tell that it's shiny foil? Let me see. This part here is foil and they have prints. They have like a shiny part, a matte part, a foil part. So when you open it up, they start showing you pictures on their different papers and how it's going to look, how that paper is going to look. And so here they have tabs. They have all these different paper types and kinds. So when you open it up, they have a sample. In this case, they're sampling their vellum, which is kind of transparent paper. And then you can see, it's hard to show. You can see all these different types of paper samples, and you can touch them and you can feel them, and you can see what printing on this paper is like versus printing on another paper. Anyway, they show you different specs and prices, specs and prices and weights, and so when you're really making a big, like here, so here it's showing you what this vellum looks like and how well it'll transparent all these other colors that are underneath, right? And so that's an example of, anyway, so this is there's so many different ways of showing you this. But here now they're showing you the same photo, right? And then they show you that photo printed on this paper versus on this paper versus on this paper. And again, this video might not show it to you enough, but versus on this paper. See, this is a paper that's already yellow. So there, at no point do you get white as you got here, because this was on white paper and this is on yellow paper. So it should be white really shows paper, right? And so it's showing you what's going to happen then to the red, to the green. So there's from, hold on, focus. It tries to focus on my face, but if I don't see my face, I can't see what I'm showing you. So I have to peek out a little bit. Anyway, right? So that's an example for you to be able to choose. Well, I want this effect or that effect or this effect. Anyway. And you see the widths, the strengths, the weights. It's called the thickness of the paper is called the weight of the paper. Anyway, and I have way too many of those, but here's a teensy little one, which is another example of vellum. I don't got it. I don't see a thing. I don't know how you guys can see. I think it just blows out. Anyway, so it's vellum of different kinds over, and then here they're just showing you, it's like parchment type papers, right? And so then you can see the effect of each one of these, and you can touch them and go, okay, so that's this weight, that's this weight, that's that weight. But even if you go to like Kinko's, does Kinko still exist? I always said Kinko's. Does Kinko still exist? Yeah. If you, does it? Yeah. I don't know. Wasn't Kinko's the place everyone went to? You can ask them, and behind the counter, they'll pull out all their sample papers that you're choosing to print your flyers on, right? Anyway, and then make a choice based on that, not just a number that's on. So if you go over here to say that I go to Moo, print, I don't know, business cards. When I go to their page, right? And Vistaprint, any of these, but I'm just going to Moo only because. Okay, so
I have one question, Diana.
yeah,
Also, before, but I just remember I had this question I forgot to ask. So after we finish, like, let's say we use their template, or we didn't, like, we export and we send it to them,
mhm.
or we send the link in InDesign or Illustrator.
No, but these
I mean the
company is
file.
different. Each company is different, but no, most of the companies now, they don't want you to send anything in other. I mean, if this were like you're printing a 10,000 coffee table books, yeah, you're definitely gonna use a different system. But for these guys that do, postcards and printers, online printers like this, they're gonna tell you if you have your own design already, like this one, upload a full design. If you already have design jobs, you're your own designer, you're confident with Postcard Lake, and you upload a full design. If you have a PDF, a JPEG, a PNG, or a GIF. So then you click on this. But if you don't have that, then here, design it over here, and we'll tell you what to do. So this is like a little template. This is a bit more like Canva, where you open it up and it tells you, put this there, put that there, put that there. Does that make sense? So it gives you the option of not having InDesign and using their system, right? Or use a template and just change your words. So there's 3 levels. Use a template and just put in your words in it, and you basically use their design. Or design it here if you have your own logo, but you don't have InDesign, you don't know how to use InDesign, or upload the design that you already made yourself, right? So it's 3
Okay,
weights.
but then I have to export in one of these versions, either
So, yeah.
PDF, JPEG.
Mhm. In this case, yeah. So when you go over here and you click on this one, then it says, okay, so which one are you going to make? Choose one. And then it tells you the minimum of everything it has to be, like don't have text that's smaller than 8 points. Lines can't be smaller than 5 points. Artwork has to be PDF 300 DPI or higher. But if you don't understand design, you would understand what this is. It tells you not to put in crop marks. Today we're going to talk about that, in fact, about the whole how to finish a project. So I'm going to show you how to finish a project. That's package it, finish it, post it, crop marks, not crop marks. This is part of what we're going to do. But over here, if you say, okay, I'm making a small postcard, for example, and you click on that, then it's just upload one here, upload one there. That's it. That's it. They're gonna, and then just print. That's all. It assumes that you've done all the job. Versus if you go to this one, then it gives you a choice to, when you click on that, then it's actually, it gives you, says, okay, what do you want to put in here? You can put in there. And so customize the layout. And so then you go and put it, they're already showing you where to write, what to do, because they're walking you through the whole design. Okay. Which is different than, let me back
Yeah,
out.
it's just like when you're gonna export from InDesign, there are so many options, design
Yeah,
and
so that's part of
screen.
what we're going to do today. Once we get to
Oh, okay,
the
cool.
class, we're going to talk about all the export, okay? No, but I wanted to show you here but it's the papers. So over here, I guess they don't show it to you to start with. What they do is once you choose what you want to do, then they show you all the choices of paper. But anyway, he says it's original business cards thicker than your average card. That's what I thought. That's what I thought when I felt the Moo ones, they were more expensive because of that. You're buying thicker paper, but you can choose matte or gloss, square, rounded, da 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 da. But it's not showing me here. Coated paper. I guess they're making decisions for you. There's another one, maybe another page here that's going to show you how thick they are, and you can see. Okay, I haven't, I don't want to go through one whole page. I've seen so many of these that um, it's up to you. Go and look to the different ones that you've been visiting, and go and go find the place where they show you the papers and the paper weights and all the, see over here it says 130-pound weight, 16-point thickness. Great. What does that mean to you if you don't know about weights and thicknesses? You know what I mean? It's like, how can you make a choice? That's why it's good to go to the page where they compare all as much as you can online to show you how they show you a difference between one weight or another, which is what I was kind of showing you in person here in these examples. Because if this is just a size that means nothing to you, all you can do is compare it. Like you write this down, you take a screenshot. Okay, Moo's going to do that. Let me see when I go to the standard business card for Vistaprint, what weight do they have, right? So then you go to Vistaprint and you go, and Vistaprint, okay. And then you go, okay, where's your paper samples and what their basic business card is going to be. And where's this paper? Tried and true. I'm just going, the other one also was not the premium or the deluxe. It was the basic original. And specs and templates, printed sample. Okay, so if you have time, you get a sample. Okay, and if you have a sample, then you can begin to touch and understand what 130 pounds, 16-point means versus another. See the details of paper. They're not, again, I don't know where to find it right now, but the paper stock. Matte pop, here's the type of paper, but that doesn't tell you how thick. So say I go with matte, do they give you a choice of weight? No. So then you look deeper to find out where they tell you what the weight of their paper is, but then you go, oh, okay, that's why it's $200 cheaper, because they're using 110-pound paper versus Moo is using 130-pound. You know what I mean? you make choices based on comparing all those different things. I'm going to let you guys explore. I don't have anything set up to show you, so you need to kind of, in the blog here, they do teach quite a bit, not on their blog, in their design. They have a place where they have a place here where they teach you design details. I'm trying to think. Anyway, never mind. I'll let you guys work with that. But yeah, paperweight design. Do they show you, do they send you samples? Already one of these said, send me a sample of the paper. I already saw one of those. I think here in Vistaprint it said, send me yeah, get a pre-printed sample. So then, okay, compare different cards to find like 11 different paper types, stocks, foil accents. Okay, $0. Okay, so this is exactly what I was just showing you. You can go to Vistaprint and order one of these for free. All right. And then if you have one in hand from one company already, when someone else says 20 pounds or, 130 pound or whatever, you'll be able to have this sample. It's what Vistaprint has, but at least it gives you an idea of the difference between, that with that and with that, right? So go ahead and do this immediately, right? Now I'm going to put this in the chat. And if you have a chance to order this from a couple of different companies, they want you to order from them. They want to give you this, right? So they'll give you an example with foil, one with robe, and they'll just send you a little packet with samples.
I've gotten some really nice, when I've sent for samples, they send some really nice cuts of paper.
Yeah. I mean, and depending on how professional the company is, sometimes you'll get a packet. I have a couple of packets that are they just send you some. They want your business, and of course, once you give them your business, what's going to happen is they're going to send you emails and stuff. But you'll get in exchange a couple samples of it to start beginning. So if you're in a hurry because you need things tomorrow, you can't do that. But if you have a choice, here's product options. Oh, there you go. Paper thickness, standard, premium, premium plus. So they give you the best they can in this image and idea of different paper stocks, matte or glossy, and coated, ultra thick linen, so they're basically doing their best online to show you what the choices will be. Does that make sense? There we go. In Vistaprint under product options, that's where they showed you that the choices can be. Depending on those choices, whether you're going to end up with a $200 bill or a $2,000 bill, right? So anyway, but it matters to compare equal to equal. And when they show you their printed samples, you already get a better idea of what kind of quality. It's one thing, this is like a linen. Look at this linen paper. See how they show a sample there? When you touch that, you might go, oh, that's really wonderful, or that's horrible. But when you feel it, sometimes you can feel it's almost, this is obviously that linen paper where you can feel, right? So anyway, looks like they're doing a pretty good job of giving you examples of what it's going to look like here. Anyway, okay, so that's work that I'll let you keep doing on your own. Just showing you the possibilities and the differences is what I wanted to get you there. Don't just go with one and print and hope for it to look as good as anything else, because you won't know until you have it. I wanted to show you really quickly, this is an example of a Pantone swatches, which shows you to the best of its ability, it shows you, let me put me on, I think if I spotlight myself, I might fill your screen for a minute. There you go. So it shows you versions, it keeps trying to focus on my face instead of focusing on this. It goes out of focus. But over here, you have the name of the ink if you were to buy Pantone C. And then it shows you what it means for solid color, for CMYK, for all of the conversions. So when you're really trying to get a color to be an exact color, like if it's a logo that, say Coca-Cola red. Coca-Cola red isn't any old red. It's Coca-Cola red, and it's Coca-Cola red because they've chosen a Pantone color that's going to be exactly that color. And anyone in the entire world who has to print, and I'm kind of looking for a red here, I must say that anyone who wants to make an ad or a print or a brochure, any company is going to have to choose that one, whichever one it might be. And all around the world, when they print, they're going to buy this ink from Pantone, and this is going to be called a spot color. It's not going to go through the CMYK where one company will end up with an orange red and another one will end up with a pink red, another one end up with a burgundy red, right? It'll be that exact color because you're going to buy the ink from Pantone and you're going to put it through that color, and that's going to be Coca-Cola red or IBM blue, or, you know, it's a very specific color that'll print exactly the same no matter what, because you buy it from Pantone. Does that make sense? And when you show the color to the client, it's going to be this blue. That's the blue they'll get. But then they have to do, and it's a fifth print. If you also put in black and other colors, say you have a whole ad for Coca-Cola, but only one part has the logo. Well, the rest will be CMYK, and it'll be 4 prints for the CMYK for everything else, because you can't make a photograph with millions of pictures with spot tones. But then the logo for the Coca-Cola is going to be an extra run of Coca-Cola red Pantone, whatever number it is. Does that make sense? They actually have one formulated for themselves that you can't just buy. Only people who are allowed to put that one in can buy it, et cetera, et cetera. That's what those big corporations can do. But if you're a regular person and someone insists that something has to be exact color, then you will spec out a Pantone color. And that means that already the job is going to be 1 extra spot tone, it's called, and a spot tone means 1 more pass of the printer. So here I have an example of, this is film. Oh, sorry, I stopped the blur. It automatically wants to blur. So here's film. And let's film. Let me spotlight myself. This is the only part that the online doesn't teach as well. When I put these 4, one on top of the other, exactly right. I don't know if you can tell. Maybe I should I'm going to put some white. I don't have anything that's just white. Here's a notebook. It might be better behind it. Come on, can you focus on this and not on me? Camera. There.
There you go. That's pretty good.
Okay. There. Okay. So here you have some corner. I'm going to show it to you on the computer so you can tell. You have like registration lines and marks and crop marks and stuff. These are really 4 different ones, right? And each one of these is going to be one of the CMY or Ks, cyan, magenta, yellow, or black, and I don't have them in order right now, but assume that this is going to be the yellow, right? So they're going to put this in the machine, and the paper is going to run through, and yellow is going to pour out, and only where it's white will the ink go through. So a lot of yellow is going to come out through there to go onto your paper, and no yellow is going to come out over here because it's blocked out for yellow. Does that make sense? So then you'll have a color here that has no yellow and a color here that has a lot of yellow. And all the paper went through, they put the paper in again, register it to the registration lines, and now blue goes through, for example. And so blue will print
Oh, they're color screens, like,
right? Yeah, and then you put this one through, and then this one is red, for example. So this is the same design, but it's letting a certain amount of colors through here or there, and then this one might be black. So it's only the black lines. And by the time you go through the 4th pass, you got your CMYK collected, and that's the final design printed in 4 colors. If you need
instead make my
tone,
own.
it has to go through one more time with another film. And if it's foil, it has to go another time with the foil print. So how many times it goes through a printing machine is how also part of the process of the budget and how much it's going to cost. All of this is high level web press printing where you're creating, 10,000 copy table books or 10,000, high quality brochures and things like that. So say, even believe it or not, but like these things that we were looking at, they didn't print these at one of these quick little Vista print things. This is a real printer that makes, shapes, whatever. And this goes through 4 passes of C, M, Y, and K. It's not a little digital printer that like our printer in the corner of our desk, where a lot of these business cards and postcards and things that we saw there, they are digital printers that they just, like the inkjet printer, they stand in one spot and they'll drop, you know, 2 little drops of yellow, 1 drop of blue, 1 drop of red, and boom, you get your purple. You know what I mean? But it's not, it doesn't go through film and it doesn't roll through web presses, right? So it's just different ways of printing. But that's good for short runs, but for large runs, it's much cheaper to go with a big web press. Okay, so when we talk about CMYK, that's what we talk about, the color running through and being deposited in more or less percentages according to what needs to go through that screen. Okay, and those are the films that we were talking about when I talk about a screen or a film. All right, I'm sure there's bazillions of thoughts and questions you have. That's just the bare beginnings of the whole description, but anything that was completely unclear or a question you might have before I move on? I want to go to the part where how do we prepare the file for that? Yes, Eric?
I don't know if this kind of relates to the printing, but is that how also like when they print on clothing, like screen printing, is that the same process?
It is, it's a little bit different, but yeah, those films, screen printing would be similar to that. You would create one, maybe you're going to make a t-shirt with 2 colors, right? A logo and some, it's going to be blue and some writing in black. Well, you're going to need 2 of those films, only it's it's a screen, it's a little bit different material, right? And it gets printed and negative onto it, it gets developed kind of like film. And then when you put that ink through and swoosh the ink through it, only ink goes through the places where there's nothing blocking it, right? And that goes through, and the parts where it's blocking it, it doesn't, it like masks it out. And that's how you get your ink on. And then you take that off and you recalibrate with the next color. If you put the film in exactly the same spot, you know, the screen print has to go match exactly the same spot. And then you put the red through, and then that fills in wherever the black was and the red, you know. So yeah, it's the same idea,
Mhm.
only it's much more manual, but yeah. Mhm.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hi, Howard. How are you? I'm glad you're here. I thought that you had said you weren't making it, or was it that you were going to be late? Okay, because I knew that someone had said they weren't going to be here and someone was going to be late. I got it wrong. Nice to see you. Okay. So I'm going to, okay, so now that we got any other questions before I share again? Oh, got it. Let me look at the chat. You don't have audio, so you'll watch the recording. Got it. Yeah, I knew there was something that you weren't really going to be here, but thank you for checking in for attendance purposes. That's wonderful. All right. So now, when I was a young one going into the business of design, all of these printers, Move, Vistaprint, all that stuff where you can just pop out 200 postcards to advertise your weekend event, your whatever, that didn't exist. You only had to go long, like you could only do like 1,000. 1,000 was almost the same price as 2,000. 100, oh, the price of 1,000. Like you don't, because these web presses, when you start them, paper just runs through them so fast. Out of the blue, suddenly you have 2,000. Cost them the same to start and stop the button than, you know, to make 1,000 and to make 100. You just couldn't make 100 of something. So that's actually wonderful that you can now say, okay, I just want a short run of this for one event, a little poster for my, you know, Moni does all the art posters for the San Marcos High School music event, the SIM card or whatever. They can just run something for that event. Before you would have little homemade flyers, a little homemade poster. If it was for a school, you're not going to print something for a school. Now you can do that. So these printers that I'm talking about, that I just showed you the film and all that, that's web presses, big runs. At this point, you wouldn't even think of doing a short run on that. But Moo, Vistaprint are the 2 that we have here. I think, what was the other brand that Noise Issue is the one that Paula researched. Noise Issue Packaging Alliance. Okay. I haven't heard of that one. Well, I don't know if Noise Issue, I don't know Noise Issue to see if, to know if they are a big web press company or if they are a digital printer. And when I say digital printer, they're gonna have Moo, these other places that do short run prints. They have high quality inkjet printers like the ones that we have, or it might be a different technology, but it's like the ones we have in the sense that it's not huge masses of paper, and they're going to run it to just get your business card out, and they'll run and they go 2000, or they're going to do much they're not going to do film. Actually, they're going to let the computer process it. They're going to let the ink fall on the spot as it falls. So if it needs to be purple, enough of each color is going to fall on that spot to make it purple. It's not going to run 4 times. You know what I'm trying to say? Wow. And I just threw my little weight compound. So it's a completely different process. Think inkjet, think desktop printers, only really high quality ones. Okay. All right. Let me share my screen now. Let's go open that document. Let me first share the same one we've been working on. Bridge InDesign. Let me just open Bridge and InDesign right now. Okay. So that same document that we've been working with, that we did some text on, that we just created that kind of front cover. I'm going to double click on that one and open it up. And, oh, that's true, Odessa. I wonder if Odessa can make it. Did she email me? I don't know, because I know I sent her the stuff last week. Okay. Yeah, Peggy and Monique and Howard were the ones who emailed me that they couldn't make it, but I don't know I got any other I don't think I got anything else. Okay. Give me a sec. I want to show you a few more things about how to get a file ready to go. So now over here, first of all, when we were first trying to recreate it, we had these samples. So right now we haven't finished. We're still gonna keep working on it a little bit more, but I just wanted to show you that if we, I don't know what font you chose for your headline. I chose a really funky special one that I didn't have in my computer and I downloaded. And so very, very clearly, or very possibly, whatever person I send this to print won't have that font in their computer either, right? So that's important. A lot of printers might have some, really famous, Helvetica Times. There's all these that people have already. But when you are creating something with a funky font, let's call it, which is what this one was, it's pretty unique and it won't be. So there's 2 choices of how we're going to send our image, our files. We're going to either send it, and that was Paula's question, right? When she said, do you upload it? How do you send them the file, whatever? There's 2 ways. Either you sent it in a way where they get the InDesign. If they get the InDesign, what else are they going to need? Because if you just send the InDesign file, it's not going to work. Why? Who remembers?
I think you need to have all the things inside, like the font, the
Mhm.
colors, the image.
Okay. Yes, in the general idea, only one thing you mentioned that isn't, which is colors. They don't need colors. The document does the colors, but they're going to need the images. In this case, this is the only image, but then I have these 2 extra ones that they don't want. So they don't want anything that's extra. Things that you leave in the pasteboard, you got to clean it up. They don't want that. They want the image, the linked files, okay? If we have a logo, they want the logo. They want the photos. And you did mention the important one, they want the font. Because they need to open up the document and they need to be able to have it look exactly like what you wanted it to look like. If they have to be guessing and find the font themselves, they might find a different version and suddenly the text is going to look like that and not like that, or I'm inventing, right? Which isn't what you're designed. but there's no way if they open it in InDesign without the actual font that they'll be able to get this exact font. So you need to send the font. Would you even know how to get the font? Would you even know how to send this font? Where is this font on your computer? How do you get it? I personally kind of know, but each computer is different. And no, each, you know, what version of what font they want, I don't know exactly. So there's a process called packaging that InDesign does for us that prepares all of that material. So we're going to go and run through that process. Usually I try to do it towards the end of the class, but I'm thinking we're going to do it a little bit sooner. And once we're done with all that, then we're going to continue completing other processes to then see how we have to update that. But that's if you're going to do the kind of company that needs your entire InDesign file. More and more, those companies are disappearing. And when I say that, they're not disappearing. It's the companies that are going to be doing the full-on web processing print. So I spent years working with companies doing coffee table books, packaging, products, right? Guess what? Just about every one of those guys was in China. At least it was cheaper, and that's where sometimes we printed on some places in the Midwest, but for the most part, the companies would be printing out of China. So we would send the whole file with all the material. They would receive it at the other end of the time frame, and they had questions for us. And so we would be sleeping, they'd be awake, right? The whole thing of printing in China has always been so complicated, but they are way cheaper. So a lot of companies still print in China, and they have specs for their machines that are different for the specs than if you're printing in the United States, right? So you have to adapt, but you need to send them everything. And on top of that, many times they have no idea of how to speak English or proofread or anything. So if something pops up in their screen looking wrong, they might not know it's wrong, right? They can't call you and say, hey, the valley didn't show up. I'm missing out 2 letters. It might be that it got cut off and it's saying Golden Country Wine Val. They wouldn't know the difference because they don't know the language. So you need to make sure that your design is bomb-proof to any system when you send it to companies that need the whole process. And what if you're designing on a Mac and they're on Windows and the fonts that they have don't install on their machine? So anyway, one of the hardest things for years in the world of printing has been fonts, because fonts do not translate well across the world and across the world of computers. I mean, like, you know, this version, that version, new computer, old computer. How do they process them? So fonts has always been a big sticking point. Okay, so that's historically and up until now. That still happens if you go to those kind of companies, those kind of printers, but those are the ones that are going to give you back, you know, that 10,000 books that you're going to go and then spread out through the country. So yeah, we still use those a lot. But then in comes these companies that do digital printing, short runs. They don't want all that mess, because most of those people don't have designers designing for them. They'll just have a business owner who says, give me this business card and here's my design. And they have to give you the best product with the whatever measly design you give them. So they don't want the whole InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, layered files. They just want a PDF or a JPEG, which if you have any text, any writing on it, I never, ever, ever send a JPEG. We'll talk about that, because JPEGs remember JPEGs, you know how Photoshop, when I opened it up to the pixels, you can't have good text on a JPEG because it's not a vector image. Let me show you for a second. I'm not sharing Photoshop with you. Let me reshare just to make sure you get why I'm saying what I'm saying. Let me add Illustrator and Photoshop to my share. Here we go. So if I type something in Photoshop, it might look good. Let me open anything here. I'm just open this photo that we've been opening. Okay. So remember when I zoom in and in and in and in to a photo that's pixel based? That when you type in Photoshop, and I'm going to type in Photoshop. So I'm going to say sample font. Okay. I just wrote this in Photoshop and I'm zoomed in to 3200%. But can you see how the text is being made? It's being made with pixels. I'm going to go down and show you that same font. And where did I put it? It's so tiny. There it is. It's this little tiny thing in there because it's so small. But let me change it to 18 points or whatever. Here's my sample font. Make it 48 points. Here's my sample font, right? If I zoom in, and let me go up to the font now. Where am I? Oof, there we go. It's still made out of pixels, and sometimes it matches the line, but sometimes it doesn't. See, look at these little corners. Can you tell how the edges go? It's not a vector font. There we go. This is better. P, the round curve. See what makes the letter? Versus if you're an illustrator or an InDesign and you zoom into text. Oh, when I'm sharing, Zoom doesn't let me switch to a different program. I have to stop and reshare again. Okay, so in InDesign, if I zoom in and in and in and in and in and in and in, look how sharp it is. No matter how far I zoom in, it's still really sharp. I keep zooming in. It's never gonna get soft, okay? This is vector font versus Photoshop font. Can you tell? So if you were to send this with, you made the font in here, it looks great. You design your thing, you create all your font in Photoshop and you send this, you're in trouble because the font, and which is, you would send a JPEG. And if you send a JPEG, this is going to be, of course, with a big size font like this, you might be okay. But the moment you're putting in, you know, the address or whatever, and it's 12 points, that's going to begin to get, okay, there's no good place here for this text, but it's going to become hard to read because it's going to be soft and fuzzy. So you never want text to be in here, you never want text to be on a JPEG. So was it Vistaprint that you were showing me? Oh God, I can't, why is it? Sorry, it's so frustrating when I'm trying to share program and Zoom stops me from sharing that program. So I'm going to share again. I'm going to just show this one. So was it, oh, I already closed those. Let me undo that, close that page. Was it with Moo or with Vistaprint that we went into?
The papers?
No, when we said the upload, that you said upload a design and they said PDF here, said PDF or GIF, JPEG or PNG. See that? You shouldn't upload a JPEG with your font. At most, you would show a PDF, where a PDF is going to conserve your font as vector, okay? But not a JPEG where it smushes into pixels. GIF and PNG, I mean, maybe PNG, but GIF is, yeah, it doesn't make sense. So let me look at the guidelines that they say.
So PNG would be okay also?
Yeah, but remember I told you that PNG shouldn't be used for printing. It's okay. They're using it, but it's not ideal. So here's the templates that they tell you to download, assuming that you know how to use these apps to make them. But then when they say to upload a JPEG, many times your card is going to have one side is just going to be art, and on the other side it's going to have like type or whatever. The side that has type shouldn't have the type for your business card because your business card type is going to be small. You should not have a JPEG for the front side, for example, where your business card is going to be. Let's see artwork guidelines if they have more information there. Oh, here's where I told you that they design, how to use your own designs, text. Don't seem to have type information. Anyway, I'm gonna veer off of this because I want to go back into what I was going to teach you today, but just letting you know that fonts issues are important if you want your and your type to be really sharp. We're going to do something different. So anyway, so in InDesign, this is vector font, and in Photoshop, it's not vector font. So I'm going to zoom down. So what you need to do is you need to pump out from InDesign a PDF that is going to conserve the font as vector font. All right. Let's go ahead and first of all, we don't have many errors anymore. Remember when we kept having errors because of overset text and stuff like that. So I don't have any errors right now. If you all still have this text that we created the other day on page 2 and 3, let's force an error. Let's grab one of these boxes and make it smaller. So when I make it smaller, I have overset text. Remember, text that doesn't fit in one of these boxes? Remember we did that the other day? So now I have created an error. See down here where it's pointing to me that there's one error? Okay, there's many other ways to have errors, but I've forced an error by basically leaving text out of the image, and maybe I didn't pay attention. Again, I have designed in different languages, and if you don't understand the language, it's hard to tell, right? If that's the end of it, because you can't just read it and say if it's correct. You need to look at all these other indications. Anyway, here's an error. So has everyone forced an error? The same error? I want you to force that error. So now, yeah, Barbara, I see what you wrote. The font is difficult to read. Yeah, I forcefully chose a font that was really funky, not because I liked it. I wanted a font that was really funky, and I found a really funky font. It's not readable. So I go over here to this error panel, and I brought you to this panel the first or second class. You might remember it's the pre-flight panel that we want. And right now we know what the error is. I mean, we just created that error, but the errors could also be that the image has been modified or the image is missing or whatever. You might have 10 errors and you have 10 errors, which might be the same thing that you repeated on 10 pages, right? You put in the logo, but then the logo color was changed and you didn't update it. So it shows up as 10 errors. It's just that the 10 instances of that logo is wrong. You update one logo and 10 errors disappear, right? So it's not like the number of the errors shouldn't be worried about, more like what is the error? In this case, the error is text. When I open it up, overset text, and it even shows me which frame. So if I'm not sure where, I click on that and it'll take me straight to the frame where there's overset text. Got it? So this pre-flight check is like, yeah, we're about to take off the airplane, check on everything that's wrong and don't leave any errors before you go. So it's pointing that there's overset text. So I'm like, oh, shoot, there we go. That's supposed to be there. It might mean that I need to redesign everything. But see, the moment I made it big enough, the errors disappeared. It's green. We have no errors anymore. Okay. So don't go to print or package or do anything final to an image before you have no errors. Make sure to have no errors. That means everything is good. Now the errors won't catch the fact that this shouldn't be here. If I'm going to print something, send it to the printer, this shouldn't be here. By this, I mean this extra pieces. If instead I'm going to send this to be printed as a PDF, that's fine. So let's see. Let's go ahead and say File. Now that I have all my errors gone, let's go to File, Package. File, Package. All right.
How did you find the package?
Okay. I went to File.
Oh, I'm not seeing that. That's okay. Oh,
Let me share my entire screen with you for a second. Here, I'm sharing my entire screen now, and there's File, Package. Down. Whoa. My computer's. There we go. File, Package.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, that's great. So here comes the package window. Hold on, I have some stuff.
Sorry.
And this window has, hold on, I have to do something here on the side for 1 second. I'm doing something on my other computer and I got a
Links and
weird message that I
image.
need to fix. So basically it's reading and it's telling me 4 fonts used. Oh, really? I thought I had 2, for example, right? 0 are missing. Okay, that means at least I had them in. 0 are embedded. Yeah, they're not embedded. Remember, they're extra images that I have put on this. Oh, I'm sorry. Trying to fix some my other computer is giving me an error message that I've tried to fix twice, and I'm just give me 1 second. That should be working now. Okay. Links and images. 1 link was found. Okay. Was not modified, not missing whatever colors a link. It's going to be 4 process inks, which is CMYK. No spot inks. Remember, I just told you spot colors, Pantone, external plugins, da, da, da. So over down here, it has something that says create printing instructions. I would recommend having create printing instructions on in case you have to tell the printer something like this, make sure that this or that, or if you need to, might even be as simple as you're in China, my time frame, I'm on the East Coast versus the West Coast. Here's my email if you need to contact me, or it might be something about the color of the foil or the brand or the name or the Pantone, So that would be a place where you would write stuff to the printer. Here on the left side, it shows me which fonts I have. I'm like, oh, wow, I had 4 fonts. I thought I had 2. Really? I didn't know that. How about that one? Where's that one? And so if something's wrong here, I can still fix that. Okay. Now, if I say show problems only, well, there's no problem font, meaning there's no missing font. I have the fonts in my computer. It's all working. But if I have that on, then I might not notice that's not supposed to be there. Why is that still in there? I thought I had stopped using that. We changed it to that one. And it could be that you left a period somewhere, literally a period that you didn't change into the right font. And so you have to set that into the font for that one period. Does that make sense? So if you,
Yeah,
where did I use marker thin felt? I don't know. That shouldn't be there. I thought I'd replaced it all with Grante or whatever. So you can set over there and you can, so you can't find it in their computer anymore right now in your image. But what it's saying is, well, let's go find it if it's a missing font that your computer doesn't have. Now, this isn't an issue with the computer not being there. You're fine. Your computer has it. It's just you noticing that you must have left that somewhere. So then you need to go and start searching for all the places where you might have left that little marker thin felt thin font that you shouldn't have in case it's important. So here's showing me that I've used it on page 2. It's one of those probably. Okay. All right. Links and images. It found 1 link. The status is linked. It's the autumn whatever file. Notice that I thought we had 3 images. That one and that one. Well, the one down there. How come it's not mentioning it? Can anyone think why it's not mentioning it? I had 3 files and yet it's only recognizing 1. Any idea why?
they're all linked.
They're all linked, so that's not the issue. Nope, that's not the question. This one's linked too. In fact, status linked.
Could it be like somewhere like JPEG and somewhere like Photoshop files?
No, they would all be valid. So nope, good guess. Good guess, both of you guys. Any other guesses? I'm gonna put your brains to think, not just me telling you. I mean, if I go to the links, let me cancel for a second. If I go over here to the links panel, all 3 are there. Right? And in fact, I can see them. I still have them. I don't know if you guys brought them in, but I still have them. So why, when I go to file package, when I go to links and images, am I seeing only 1? Are you done with guesses?
Yeah.
Maybe.
What's the problem?
Oh, Patty said maybe. See, what's your maybe?
I was just gonna say, I know like the PSD is like a layered file. Does that like mean anything?
Nope, not that either.
Mm.
Because it could be a layered
Isn't
file.
it that we removed that car? we removed the car before, so it's
No, in
linked
fact-
to the Photoshop.
I hear you, but no, the one that we removed the car is the one that's showing. So that's fine. Okay, I'll leave you out of your, let you out of your misery. Because I told you anything up in the pasteboard doesn't print. These two are not in my document. They are in the pasteboard. They will not be printed. This one and the bottom one. Do you see that? This is not in any of the pages. This won't be printed, nor this one. Yeah? It's not part of the document in the pasteboard. Got it? Yes, no, maybe? Give me thumbs up if it all makes sense to you.
What is that little blue thing at the top of that?
That,
Yes.
that's the little icon that shows you that it's a linked document. Yeah, it's linked. See over here? It's linked. This one's linked. So that's what it's showing you. But the PSD is also linked. That's fine. They're just
I can't tell what that icon is. My eyes are so bad.
so that I would have to select and delete, right? Anyway, but for now, I'm just showing you why when you go package, it's not being shown because it's not part of the document. Now, if it were even halfway on, just a few, if you were a little bit on like that, and I were to go file package, now that image is part of the document that's going to print. Does that make sense?
Is it just
Inside of
what's
the bleed line.
overlapping?
It's
that's gonna
overlapping.
print?
It's inside of the bleed line. So now I need to send that one too, because once you print, I guess you want that little bit to pop in, which is fine. But only that little bit will be printed. The rest will just hang out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anyway, I'm gonna push it out again. And now when I say file package, once again, it will be gone. I will not have that as part of my document, okay? So it needs to be, the pasteboard is good for hanger outers and things that we need. Maybe we're going between 2 or 3 different files, a couple boxes of colors, some sample fonts, we're moving in and out and we're using it, but at the end, we got to clean it up. But for now,
How did
colors
you
and inks,
remove it?
CMYK. And now, important one is print settings. Now this window has changed. This one is interesting. Wow. This is the first time I look at the print settings. Huh. Here under print settings, you could choose to put the crop marks or not. What? This is so weird. You could choose which PDF version to choose. Huh.
Oh, script.
Printer marks, none. Here's where you could turn them on. If I click on printer's marks, it doesn't let me change. Wow. This is new. I just updated. Is yours looking the same as mine, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah. Last time I used this package area, last time I taught this in the summer, a few months ago, and it was still the old one. This is new. And I need to find out,
Figured out.
where do you change your print settings now? This is just telling me. Let me cancel for a minute. Hmm. Okay, well, here's where you would change all of that. And I wanted to show you all of those choices. This one is just automatically sent to have no crop marks. No printer's marks, which are all the registrations and all that. Which we want, okay, it doesn't let me tell it what version of PDF and print. You know, I just told you each company, each company has their own version of settings that they need your computer to have, and that's where you changed it. Now I need to figure out where else you change it. You have to change it to the printing, and there's like from all the world, different printing versions. Okay, I do not know how to make any changes. This is all like set in stone. So I'm very confused. But okay, let's for now say package. Let me look at the report for a second. Normally I don't go for report, but let me see if it lets me change anything there. So it created a report. That won't help.
When you go to send it to one of the ones to print it, maybe
Save package. Save. I've been making changes. So yes, save. Printing instructions. So here's where you say contact me. You know how I turn on the printing instructions and it comes, if you turn it on when I told you to turn on, here it comes. Email me, how to reach me, when to reach me. Make sure to crop here, crop there, whatever you want to say to them. And it's going to save it as a file called instructions.txt. Continue, right?
Okay.
So maybe they they changed it to over here. Okay. Here are the presets. Okay, this is really shifted where they do it, but okay, that's still good. So now I got to the place where save as, and it's going to be a folder. Okay. And I'm going to have it in my same folder where on my color. And okay, so they changed the decisions happen at this last. Okay, well, that's fine. The decisions are still there. Instead of right before this, they're right after. So this is where it's saying, okay, copy fonts, except those added from Adobe Fonts. So remember how we downloaded that font from Adobe? That weird, bizarre one that I have that Barbara said she can't read. I know, it's on purpose. I downloaded that from Adobe, remember? So it's not going to copy that one. And that's because Adobe is going to, well, you'll see when it's finished, but Adobe is going to provide that font. When they open it on their side, they can download the font from Adobe. But if I had fonts that I had purchased from someone, it'll include the fonts that I've purchased from someone else, like I purchased from someone that's not Adobe, and I have included here to send it to the printer, which they can only use to print my piece. They can't use it for anything else because the license only gives permission to be printed for me. Copy the graphics, update the graphics links and package to make, this is in case you hadn't updated the links, use document application, include fonts and links from hidden non-printing content. So non-printing content, that would have been that, okay? So no, we don't that. Include IDML, include PDF print. Okay, so here's the things. What's the IDML? And in fact, I downloaded an IDML the other day with you guys. INDD is the extension for InDesign document. But the IDML version is the version that you would use in case someone has a different version of InDesign than you. Say that I'm working in InDesign 27 and they have InDesign 25, right? Or vice versa. So if someone who doesn't have the newest version tries to open one from a newer version, they can't. It'll say that you can't open a newer version because you're on 25 or 2020 and you're on 26, they won't version. But if you send them an IDML version, they can still open the IDML version. The only problem with that would be if you used a technique new that only 27 has and 2020 didn't have, and they're using 2020, it won't appear for them, right? So you have to be careful. Of course, printers tend to have their stuff updated, but you need to make sure if you used a feature, an AI feature that needs to show up when they open it in IDML in an older version, that feature might just not exist, or it might show up blank, or it show up wrong, right? But anyway, the IDML version is the one that's like version neutral so that anyone can open. So you want to include that. And then you want to include the PDF. In this case, it's for print. So a bit earlier, we saw that it said that it was not going to put printer marks. So that's important. High quality print, and you're going to have to ask the company that you're printing with, what PDF version should we choose? So I don't remember anymore right now, but for example, China might want this one, Europe might want that one, America might want that one, da 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 da. high quality print are these digital printers like Vistaprint or Moo. They want that one. Okay. But press quality, that is too generic. Before you could choose so many. I don't know. It seems so weird. Smallest file size, if you're sending them one that's going to be just for online, that they're not going to need to print, they're just seeing it for viewing purposes only. You might want with smallest file size. Anyway, so you're going to choose whatever version your printer, your company has told you, please use this version for your PDF, right? You don't know what their printers need. Their machines have a need for one or another of these. You do that. And when you're done with that, the only part that I don't like is I couldn't choose to do crop and registrations, which is interesting because all these registration marks, we'll find out. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to say package. By using the package feature and including fonts, it will include fonts because I have more fonts than just that one. That was that weird one that I downloaded, but these were in my computer. So those fonts that were in my computer are going to be included in the package. And this is reminding me that by using the package feature and including fonts, you acknowledge that you have all the necessary rights and licenses to allow copying and distributing the fonts. Used by a service provider must comply with the terms of your font license. Your service provider may require a separate license. So it depends on the font, whether they need a license or not, whatever you included, da 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 da. Hopefully you've gone through that. If you bought a font, you have permission for the printer to use it. Now you're going to say, okay. All right. So let's see what
What
happens.
does that mean by service provider?
My service provider would be the printer, the company that's printing.
Okay, thank you.
Company in China that is providing me the service of printing my documents. They are going to receive my fonts that I'm sending them. And if I'm sending them the fonts, they can't use it for anything other than for printing it. And then they have to uninstall it from their computers when they're done printing my process, my brochure. Does that make sense? They can't then
Yes.
use it for their products or something. All right. So let's go to Bridge. So did everyone finish, say package and go to Bridge? All right. Now, if you're in Bridge by file name, depends on what you named your file, you'll find it somewhere around there. I'm going to go ahead and sort by type because I'm looking for a folder. And we had a bunch of folders in here already, but one of them is new. It's the Recreate CSI brochure folder. The name Recreate CSI brochure is what I had called my document, see? Now they created a folder. Did y'all find that folder? Give me a yes. Sure you saved it in the right spot. Oh, here comes Peggy. All right. Hi, Peggy. We were missing you. I hope all is good. I'm glad you're here. So, we just finished packaging a file, and I know you've done this in the past, but it's like that end process where you say file package. It's changed. The window has changed quite a bit. But we just created the package, so now we're going to open it and show people what is in a package. So it's what you send to the printer. Other than those Vistaprint kind of people, but this is when you go to a big printer. Okay, did everyone find the folder? You found it, Paula? You found it? Eric, yeah, you found it. Barbara, okay, I'm going to double click on that. And here we go. We have so many versions. We have the INDD. Now, what do you mean it's in here? Did they move it? Nope. They copied it. I still have the one I've been working on down there. That's the one I was working on. So remember when we said copy, we said, yes, create a copy. Because here's that Autumn Fields and here's the brochure. And yet when we double clicked in here in this folder, it copied. So this is a new version. And I'm really making a point that it's a new version because you have to be careful. Because what if you decide to make changes to the file and you continue to make changes to that one, right? Then you have to recreate a whole new package and get rid of that package, right? But if instead you start working on this one now to make changes, be aware that if you work on this one, those changes won't be replicated automatically into these two, nor into the file you left behind, right? So you don't create the package until you're done. And if for any reason you need to change anything, you'll go back to your original, make the changes, and then you'll have to recreate the package and delete this one. Does that make sense? Because now they are truly two separate beings. Okay, here's your INDD. Ideally, the one that you've done all the work in. Here's the IDML, the one that they need to open it in case this one doesn't work for them because they have a different version. Here's the PDF that should be ready for print. We're going to explore it in a minute. Just want to show you, here's the links. What links? Well, the images that go in there, because this is linked now. In this package, the links have been changed. When they open this one, it won't say that it's missing. It's been set up so that the link in this InDesign recognizes this link, not the one out here. Does that make sense? So they've set it up internally so that this is correct. If I open this one, it'll point to this one. If I double click, there it is. That's the file that it's pointing to. Okay, I'm gonna back out. Whoops. My package. And then here's the fonts. I'm gonna double click, and it's the Minion Pro and the Marker Felt and the Avenir, but it's not the Adobe font. Remember it said it won't include Adobe fonts? If I hit this one, what this one has is instructions for the printer to know, and it picks it up from Adobe itself. Your document knows when they open up our document, it knows to go check in with Adobe, and if they need to download the file, to download into their computer. Okay, you know how when we opened a font, we're going to open another one. It'll ask us, do you want to find or replace the font? They're going to have to say find, and they're going to find the right font and download it themselves directly onto their computer. Okay, but the other ones that were in my computer, here they are. They're being sent. Okay. And then instructions, which in this case, it's a TXT, and we said information, but we didn't write anything. Remember, the form, you didn't fill it up, but it would have said company name, phone, email, instructions, how to talk to me, when to call me, and all that kind of information. All right.
And they have to pay money to download the fonts, is that correct?
No, if they
Okay.
are our licensed printer, and they probably have their own account with Adobe and all of that. But if they have a printer, they have the rights to download it for printing purposes, and then they have to delete it from their computer. So now here's the PDF, and this is the one that I'm interested in. Let's double click on the PDF right now and see what kind of PDF got created. So in my case, it opened in Acrobat, Adobe Acrobat. And this PDF that got printed here for printing, oh, I don't have a marker here. See, this is bizarre. Here's my 4 pages. Because I can't tell, and this is the part that is missing as far as I'm concerned. I can't tell if what they're showing me is with or without the bleed.
How
I'm gonna have
about
to-
on the right side of the page, there's a number 1 in a black square and a number 4 that's grayed out below it.
Here, because it's 4 page, it's a 4-page document. These are my other 4 pages, right? So these are my 4 pages. Remember, it was a 4-page document. Have I got that
Right.
in? Those are the 4 pages. But let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I'm seeing 6 of these rows, the 6th one is the bleed. If I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then it's cutting it off the bleed. Let's see. Acrobat, where are you, Acrobat? Open up here. It's showing me 1, 2,
4, 5.
4, 5. See, this is not ready to go to print, even though it said print. This is printing. If I print it here on a piece of paper and I'm going to cut it off, but it's not showing me the bleed. So I can't upload this to one of these places, which, by the way, they wouldn't take a 4-page document. So they would do a business card or a postcard, but this is not showing me the bleed. You see that? So something is this is good to print here if I'm going to print it in my computer, but this is not what I need to send a printer. So this is the part that confused me in the new version because I need to see, remember I told you, oh, the printer's marks aren't there. You need to be able to see the trim marks and the registration marks and all that information. And I normally, when you did the package before, this is the place where you would go to the print settings, and here you could choose where you could see the print marks, see printer's marks, none, it says. But it doesn't give me the choice to turn them on. This is where I used to turn them on or off. So I need to, I don't know. I need to research that. I'm gonna,
What if you double click on it?
yeah, I tried. So I'm gonna go for a second. InDesign, I think it's 2026. Printers, marks, PDF. Let's see what it says. So in the, InDesign 2026, but I want the information they give me to be new. So you have to look, so this is from 2023, so it doesn't work. Create PDF with crop marks and bleeds in March 2025. It's still not 2026. Adobe Help Center, it's
Oh, I
2024.
saw something the other day and put 2025 on it.
Here, let me say InDesign 26 is the really name of the version. PDF, and then 2025 to tell it to be from that information. 2024. 2025 tutorial. Okay, so the best I can tell, let's give it a try, is we're going to create it either as an export as a PDF or even, and I'm not sure if it'll work, if I say file print, are they going to let me output grab marks and bleeds? Yep, this is the box that I was looking for. How interesting. They put this information in the print box now instead. That's weird. Okay, so let's go to file print. This used to be in the I wonder if I do an export PDF, it'll also work. I'll try that later, but file print. I know it's time for break, you guys, but I just wanted to get this straight. Okay, so general setup, marks and bleeds. Let's turn them all on for now. All printers marks.
Okay.
And then use the document print settings. In case these are the default ones that they would have used, but just in case we use different ones, then we would tell them to use ours. But if we hadn't, then the default ones would be 0.121. Anyway, the rest is fine. The rest is okay. Setup. Clearly, US letter is not what this is. Maybe this won't work. Let's make it show up in a bigger paper. I don't mind. Since we're not going to print it, I want to see, I want to send them, I want to set up a PDF. Okay, print summary. Okay, so I'm printing objects, print visible layers, print bad pages. No. So if I say print,
I think if you want to do it save to PDF under printer, it gives, for me, I have a Adobe PDF option.
okay, I wasn't seeing it, which is what was confusing me.
Oh, in the top portion under printer preset, I just click on it and for me, I have a Adobe PDF.
No,
I'm
I
not-
don't. That's so bizarre. This is where I should have the PDF. I don't know why I'm not getting this. Something is
What
I
did you mark in the marks and bleed? Everything?
yeah, I said everything. I wanted to show it to you. But over here, I should be able to print to PDF and it's not letting me. Go to printer. add printer, but it's not a, I should be having the PDF choice there. I don't think I can add Adobe because it's not really a printer. Yeah, this is actually looking for a printer. So I need to figure out, because I haven't tried to print from this computer since I got it, and it might be set, this is the school printer, not mine. This is a printer that exists at school. Same with this one, Secure Printing FSA. So I'm wondering, since this is a school computer, if for some reason they've rerouted it in a weird way. Anyway, this didn't used to be in the print. This used to be in the package, right? So you could export the Adobe that way. Anyway, if you can print to PDF to a PDF to Adobe printer, then you'll get a PDF out of it, which was my goal. Right now, no matter what I do, I'm not getting the Adobe printer choice, so I can't get a PDF. All right, so now I'm going to cancel that because I
It's
can't
not
show
in preset?
you guys got it. Show me, but let me just see if I were to go to Adobe Export As instead and see if it gives me the choice. Adobe PDF print or interactive, which is what you would do if it's online, but it's print. Let me see if now it gives me the choice. Okay, this is actually the exact box that I was looking for before, but again, I don't know that it's going to let me do a PDF. So here's the marks and bleeds. This is the exact box I was looking for before. Use document blend settings, high quality. Okay. When I say export, now that
I didn't
might
see
have
what
worked. Okay,
you
that
were
last
too
one worked.
fast. I didn't see what.
Yeah. So I did export, file export. And then I chose Adobe PDF print, right? Of all the choices, that's what I want. And I'm going to say save.
Save.
I say save. It's telling me you want to replace it. Yeah, replace it because and so here's where I get the choices. These were the choices that used to exist in the package. And I'm going to go to marks and bleeds and turn all the printers marks. I just want to show you what that looks like. By the way, I know the alarm for break went off a few times, but give me a second here. I turned on the use document bleeds settings, all printers marks. And now we're going to say export. Okay, so now I'm going to go to bridge. Oh, I didn't tell it to save inside this folder, so it's probably in here. Oof, that was silly. I was so worried about getting it that I didn't tell it where to export to. Here it is, recreate, here it is. So it's called the same, so they didn't change the name. Let me just call this one dash printers marks. And let me just put it inside that folder. There we go, just so that we have it all under one folder. Okay, so now I have the regular PDF that they called for print, which doesn't have the bleed. And then I have this one, which has the bleed. Now, I want you to know that neither one of these is what you would upload to Vistaprint. Vistaprint, all these places, they wanted the bleed included, but they didn't want crop marks. They didn't want printer's marks, remember? So it's neither one or the other. It's this one. It's the one that we just created without the crop marks is the one that you should do. But let me just show you this one now. Let's open this one up and see how different it is. This is the one with printer's marks. So it's showing you that's the bleed lines right there. The end of where we have the end of the color. These that go into the color, that's the trim marks. That's the cut side.
Okay.
Okay. And then these are those registration marks that I was telling you about when I showed you today. Peggy, you missed it, but I was showing some film here.
And
And
they're outside the bleed?
of how they put one on top of the other and to make sure that they're in the right spot. Do I even have them in the right order? 1, 2, 3, and the other one is upside down. There. So to make sure that they show up in the right order, you have to use these registration marks
Optical.
there on the corners, right? And the bleed marks and everything has to have to align for it to work. It's hard, the video, the camera isn't showing it well. But when they print 4 of those, then they use these registration marks there to put them in exactly the same spot. Does that make sense? So
Yes.
you put the other color. And then this here, there's a grayscale bar and a color bar. And this helps when the first print comes out, they stop the press, they look at them and they go, oh, this pink is too orange or this yellow is too green, because they don't know what mustard is supposed to be or whatever color you made. They don't know if you made it it's supposed to be more orange, more yellow, more gold. They don't know, but they do know what these are supposed to look like. So this have a very perfect, this is a standardized around the world. The percentages of darkness are and these colors, CMYK, and these pastels, they can measure with the machine and it tells them exactly if the yellow is the yellow it should be. If they make this look as good as they can and this look as good as they can, by default, this color is the right color that you chose. Does that make sense?
Yes, very
They
much.
print it through and their green looks a bit yellowish or their pink looks a bit purplish. They have to correct their machine, correct the settings because they're putting in too much blue or something. Does that make sense? So this is what they correct against. And then if those are correct, the mustard you're gonna receive is the mustard that you thought you were gonna get. Then notice that at the bottom, it tells you the file name and it tells you also, whoops, I moved up. On the bottom right, it tells you the day and time, and that matters because what if you have an older version or a newer version? You always had compare, which is the one. So all of these things are important for your communication with the printer. Remember the slug? We talked about the slug originally. The slug would be something outside of this, and in the slug, you'd be also having information. So right there, the people who are doing the printing, if they need to reach you, right there on their film, they'll have it printed. But it's outside, so then when they cut, it all gets cut off, and all that's left is what's inside, which is that perfect print. Okay, so this is the PDF with the crops marks. Now, last thing, and then we'll take our break. Give me one last minute. Either one of these two is what we need if we need to send it to Move, Vistaprint, or all the ones that we're going to do digital printers. They don't want the crop marks. They already told us, we read in the specs. And they told us also that they need the bleed. This one has no bleed. This one has bleed, but it has crop marks. So we're going to go one last time and we're going to produce, we're going to export, file export. And we're going to have it be Adobe Print because we need it to be the one that they're going to do for print. We're going to change the file name here. We're going to call this one, let's call this one For Print or For Vistaprint or whatever company we're going to, but for printing purposes. So there's FPO for viewing purposes, for printing purposes, for printing only, for FPO. There's all these shortcuts, but let me just say For Print. I'm going to spell it out so that we can understand it ourselves later. And I'm going to put it in the right folder because it's in the create a CSI brochure folder. So I'm going to put it already in that folder. And then I'm going to say save. And over here, I am not going to turn on the printer mark. See how it remembered it from last time? It remembers what settings you chose. So we're going to turn that off. They don't want crop marks. They don't want any of that. They do want the bleed included, but they don't want the marks. We do want to use the document bleed settings though, because they need to know how far to include the document. If we don't, they might cut it at the trim line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But we don't want the marks.
There's a lot to remember in this program.
And now we export. Now let's go to Bridge and check that one out. Here's the one that I made for print. Okay, so I'm going to double click that one. And here we are. If I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I know that this time it's correct that the bleed was left out. So this includes bleed, right? So this is bigger than 8. This is 8.25. for the piece that we're gonna receive is gonna be 8 by 8. Does that make sense, you guys?
Yes, there it is.
Okay. If there's anything that you still think about, or you have a yes, but maybe when we come back from break, let me know. But right now, I'm getting nods from the people I see. Eric, you haven't spoken up, and you do when you don't get it. So I think that's good. All right. All cool. Paula, you okay? All right. So let's take our break, which it's 7:02. So be back at 7:17. Oh, it's 7:03. It's back at 7:18. Oh, all
Oh, I'm so hungry.
right. See you back at 7:18.
Super.
Right. All right. I'm a minute early, so if you're still working on your way back, that's fine. Finishing up my tea. That's my morning tea that I've been sipping all day. It's a big mug. I put 2 tea bags in it and I just nurse it all day long. All right, if you guys are here, either turn on your videos or give me yeah, oh, you can't give me a yes when the yes is already there. Let me turn off your yeses. Can't give me a yes if you're hiding, lurking in the background, or turn on your videos if you normally do that. Okay. Mhm. Hello. Peggy, looks like it's just you and I. Nice to see you, Peggy.
Yeah,
Class started that way today too.
yeah, 15
Oh,
minutes
here.
goes quickly.
What's that?
15 minutes goes quickly.
It does, it does. And this is my last day of this marathon run where I start teaching at 1 until 4:45, and then this one starts at 5, right? And I get like just 15 minutes even in between 2 classes. So yeah, those 15 minutes are like, oh my God, they're quick. All right, anyone back? Hello. Echo, echo, echo. Ah, there's Patty. Yay, Patty and Peggy. Paula and Eric. All right, that's 3 of you guys. Let's get going. Paula and Barbara can trundle in whenever they're ready. Okay. Let me close my Adobe. All right. So any lingering questions regarding this conversation that we just had as far as how to complete and submit a job? And I think Paula, which you're not actually here, but Paula was the one who first asked. So I just wanted to make sure. That said, this was a document that had 4 pages, so it probably wouldn't. I don't know. These companies usually print single page documents. These brochures and stuff like that are not part of what they do. But I mean, that's not true. Let me go really quickly. I think I did see something like brochures. Promotional packaging, calendar. No, it's all 1 page. Here, let me just show you what I'm seeing. But I'm thinking this is pretty much 1 page item, single business cards, signs, banners, posters, stickers, labels, promotional. This is all one page thing. You know what I mean? There's no brochures here, for example, that could have more pages. Yeah, this is all single-sided designs. Tons of stuff, but none of it is multi-page. So this document that we just created, that I just used as an example for packaging, but wouldn't be something Vistaprint could print. So if this was a multi-page brochure, you'd have to go somewhere else. Really quickly down to Moo. Let's see if the same for Moo. Business cards, postcards, stickers, labor, marketing, promotional products, business services. Notebooks, tape bound cover, but what you can probably design is the outside cover, and they insert, lined pages or something like that. So again, it's not really multi-page products. Okay, yeah, same thing. Marketing material, brochures. Okay, they do brochures. Trifold or bifold, which is not multi-page. Yeah, it's still one, it's two sides, but it's not multi-page documents. You know what I mean? So yeah, I don't see any multi-page document here because that's just not their business plan or what they can do. But if you have something that can be done in two folds or in multiple accordion folds and stuff like that, then you can still do it with them. But it's only two sides, which is why you could decide any of the things that these companies print, you could design in InDesign or in Illustrator. Does that make sense? Because they're both simple one or two side designs. And I'm just looking at those two, but since those are the two that most of you researched, that works. Okay. So let's head back to InDesign now. So now that we worked on finishing a product, and by the way, guys, this is our last class. I'm happy to keep showing you things that need to be incorporated into the project, but is there any there's so much more that can be taught. Again, this is all the introduction to how they all work together, right? And how the pieces happen, but it isn't an in-depth into any particular course. But is there any thing that you guys really want to know that I might direct the last portion towards that beyond what I'm going to teach you? Like one of Paula's first questions was how do we upload this or whatever? And in the end, that was part of the whole packaging and everything I was going to teach, but I was going to show it later. I showed it first. I can move things around. So anything else you guys want to know in particular before I continue?
I guess just a clarifying question. So because of the new update or whatever, it seems like one of the ways that's recommended to do to export it is to do the packaging first and then to export the PDF with like the printing guides and put that in the same file.
Good point. If you were to go with a product just to Vistaprint or Moo or whatever, you don't need to do the packaging. The packaging still is really useful for when you're done, right? And you had a logo here, some text there, some image over there. Believe it or not, even inside of our one folder where we have all of the class files, the stuff was all over because if you look at it in alphabetical order or in file type, either way, it was all over. So if you know how to put it together, if you know how to make a folder and drag this from here, this from there, this from there, there's still going to be one problem with doing it by hand, that when you open InDesign, the files won't be where InDesign expected them to be. So you'll have to modify and say, no, they're all in this folder now. Does that make sense what I'm saying, you guys? InDesign's going to know where are the files because you've moved them to a new folder. And as long as you do that, you can do it by hand. If you want to store the fonts, because at some point you might need that. Say you're going to stash this, package it. In the past, we used to burn it on a CD and boom, one client gone. And then 2 years later, they come and they want that brochure again. You pull that out and you reinstall it. You don't keep it on your computer. It comes with fonts and everything. So if you can do that by hand and know how to get the fonts and everything, go for it. But a really quick way to do it with all the links updated and everything ready to go is to just send in a package at the end and it picks it up from everywhere. And then that little folder is your final, print, not all the versions, all the things, all the whatever that you've got. You can call that one final piece. And when everything else you trash, you just keep that folder. Does that make sense? It's a pretty clean way to do that. That said, they've never done a good job in that package of putting in the PDF that we needed, even before when we could make those choices. You always had to recreate the PDF that the print, it's made for the printers who need the full shebang. So you still had always to make separately that PDF without the printer's marks and put it in there. Does that make sense? Even before, I was hoping they would have had it a way to do it in the package, but now you have to go and do it and export as and put it in. So if you want to have one of each of the possible ways, you put that all in. On the other hand, you might want to not have any of the PDFs or any of that, just have the InDesign, and each time you need to reprint it, you recreate that PDF or this or that. Does that make sense? Because if you don't want to have extra files, but if you want to have all the files that are going, You put them in here, you take them away, and or you leave them in some part of your computer. But if these are things that you're going to be doing many of, you don't really want to leave them hanging around on your computer a lot. Then you stash them. And then when you do open it in 1 year or 10 years, or 2 years is more typical, you won't have to be hunting down, where was that version of that logo? Oh man, they don't use that one anymore, but now I have to reprint this and it's all there. Okay. So yeah, whenever I'm done with a project, even if it went to a big print or small print or whatever, and I'm done with a project, I do a big package, and that's the final file, like the one that got approved, the one that got printed, there it goes. If I have versions of stuff that I want for myself, then I might incorporate them in there. But I kind of keep it all ready. And then you can delete all the loose stuff from the rest of your computer so that you don't have stuff hanging everywhere belonging to different projects. So it's just a clean way to client files, package. This goes with that, this goes with that, this goes with that. Might mean you end up having the fonts a few more times, or if that same image was used in a couple different projects, then that's the folder for the brochure. Then there's another folder for the business card, another folder, and then all of those go into one folder for that client, or if your client is yourself, for your marketing products or whatever. And that keeps it all nice and separate and clean and accessible, re-accessible. You don't want to be spending, one of the biggest wastes of time for anyone in any business is to spend a whole bunch of time searching for stuff from the past, right? And I worked in a business where we kept doing a ton of, we kept doing a lot of products that we redesigned in a different format and in different format. And each time, the first few years of that company, each time we spent so much time searching for everything that it became like one of the most important things that company did is they had some guy come in and start working with just archiving, right? Archiving things. And it was like this whole process was like, okay, that time they pay me to be a designer, I don't have to spend searching in all the different servers everywhere for the little bits and pieces that people forget to put in there. But most importantly, is if you do send it to that printer in China, you can't send them 99 things and forget the 100th thing, right? So really that packaging process collects everything. So that's the good news of it. But you can use, as I said, use it for yourself as well. Okay. In fact, and let me just be clarify, even if you're designing this to go to Vistaprint, you never intended to go to China, right? But I would still do the packaging because of the fact that it collects the stuff from everywhere. And so it's not about the fact that I'm going to send it to someone, it's that I want to store it myself. So I want to put out all the pieces myself. So that's, this whole process is useful no matter what. And it also catches all the errors. If you haven't done the pre-flight that we did at the beginning, it catches any errors because it stops you. We did the pre-flight to fix the error, but had we done the packaging, not fixing that error, the packaging would have come up with, there's an error here, and we would have stopped and gone and fixed that error, right? So it kind of recatches that. And let me just show you that really quickly. If I go back to InDesign and let me make that same error again, quick, small error, but there it is. And I save. So now if I don't fix that error, which is there warning me about, if I go do the package, it has changed. It used to show you the errors, entire publication missing, environment protected, inaccessible. One link found, that's good. Huh, is it not catching that error? It used to have a place for that error. Missing it in the texts, fonts. Show problems only. Not showing it's showing these problems are font missing problems, but not whether I didn't use it. Huh. Okay, so it's going to let me continue to package without fixing. Okay, good news. It did not catch that error. So you need to do that in the pre-flight panel. All right, well, in the package process, I remember it catching errors. It would just say there's an error in the text somewhere, there's an error, and you'd have to go back. So that changing system I don't like. Let me give that mistake again one more time. And let me see if I do the PDF export, if it's going to catch it there, because that's the window that we used to have. Test for offset text error. Let me just try it. Save. No, it won't be output. It won't be any of these. So no warning. So no, it looks like the only place to catch that at this point is truly in the. Okay, so I'm going to cancel. Looks like it's not warning me anywhere of that mistake. So just me knowing that it says one error and running the pre-flight panel. Okay, well, there you go. In case you were curious, it has been answered. All right, yes, Eric.
So when the package is created, I noticed it makes that folder for links, and then it has your PSD file in there. Is that a duplicate PSD file?
Yeah. Remember when we said make the package, and we said go ahead and package, and said continue? It says one of the choices it gives you here is copy the linked graphics. See, copy the fonts and copy the linked graphics. So it's copying the PSD, it's copying the HTML. That's why I'm saying if you do this, the idea is that later you delete the rest of that, right? So you don't have a ton hanging, because if you
Yeah.
copy all the linked graphics and then, so let me cancel that. But if you copy up,
Okay, so I would be safe to delete the other PSD file just so
yeah,
I can
and
have it all organized.
yeah, because there it is. There's my copied PSD inside of the Recreate brochure versus it's still here, right? Whatever one of these was the PSD version that I had picked from here. This is the one that my current one is addressing. But if I, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. And I just duplicated by mistake because I was trying to eliminate that line, and I did the same shortcut. If I were to make my own folder so that I don't have duplicates, so I put that in there, I find them from all over, I'm still going to have to open up and re-import, or not re-import, but fix all the missed links and stuff like that. Let me just really quickly do that. Say that I'm creating a new folder right now. I'm going to select these two pieces, just those two, which belong to each other, right? And if I create a, can I create a new folder here? Yeah, a new folder. And I'm going to call them original files. Let's call it, right? Because that's what they used to be, right? So when I double click on that, I'm going to put this in the original files, and I'm going to put this in the original files. Okay, so when I open it, I got my two parts together. This is the one I'm working on right now. In fact, let me make sure that I closed it. So later when I want to open it, since I did it through Bridge, it might have fixed it. Yeah, let me hover, because it's in there. Look at that. See, the tip is already showing me it's in the original files, and so is this one. That's because I did it through Bridge, and Bridge knew to follow me, but had I done it on the Finder, it wouldn't have. Okay, I did it through Bridge, and Bridge, when I moved it in there, that's good to know. That's Bridge didn't used to do that, but I do remember that it did it the last few times. I dragged it in there and I dragged it in there, so I could create my own. The only thing is that over here, it created a folder for the links. When if you have, 25 photos in your image, they're all collected nicely. It created the fonts, it created da-da-da-da-da. You could create a little folder here for your PDFs. Versus me, I would have to create them. But the only big missing here would be the fonts, right? That you'd have to know how to go into your system photos library, into your computer systems library, and recover the fonts and make a copy and put in here, which sometimes can be a huge complication. You can mess up your fonts and then your fonts don't work. But if you know how to recover your fonts, and not recover, access your fonts and bring them in here yourself, then that would be the only missing item. And yeah, that's good that they got updated through Bridge. As I said, had I gone into the Mac Finder and put things in a folder, then that would have not been findable. It wouldn't know to go find each other. All right. Any other questions about that? Nope. Right, so that's I'm looking at the time. Where's my calendar? Time. Where are we at? Ah, I got Zoom in the way. I could lose my watch. Okay, so that's good. We still have another hour at least. Okay, good. I'm gonna go back. I closed it, but you guys didn't close it, so I'm gonna go back to the original image right here. So I had to reopen it. And here we go. So in this image here, in this version of it, we didn't have anything brought in from Illustrator. We didn't have a logo, but we also didn't complete the shapes, and that said, at this point, that isn't so complicated to recreate that. I just want to ask if there's any particular point, like I think we need to still do more font typesetting work, right? How would we create the spacing and the typing and all that? But I'm gonna leave it up to you if that's what you want to do, or if you want to work with a different part of this. But here in the back page where we have all these fonts, we can recreate it exactly the same or not, but I'm going to show you what you would do. I also want to show you some font work in Illustrator. So if you don't vote, then I'm going to go with text and text work, not so much font work, but type work. Is that good? Type. Okay. All right. Good. So the distinction between InDesign or Illustrator for creating font, or not so much creating font, but for putting in type, is that there's more or less the same amount of accuracy, which is why InDesign and Illustrator can be used indistinctly. Photoshop used to be horrible for that, but now Photoshop has about the same tools. But the difference is that Illustrator can be more creative with text. You can work outside of the basic stuff that you get. Versus in InDesign, you can set a lot of styles and paragraph styles and things like that so that you can format things more easily for extended documentation. Has anyone used, for example, a program like Word or something like that and done Word styles? Has everyone done character styles, paragraphs, anything like that? Yes, Eric? Okay. And what program have you used styles?
I've used like Word styles in like Word
In
documents.
Word?
Yeah,
Okay.
in Word. Mhm.
So it's relatively relatively similar. Let's go up to view, not view, sorry, window, types and tables. Styles, here we go. Styles. Let's open character styles and paragraph styles. So I'm going to go to character styles first. I'm going to go back to window, styles, and paragraph styles. So now they opened up in a different column than the one I want, but that's okay. I can just go ahead and bring this whole little box here and pop it in there. So how did I do that? I grabbed it from that little top line. Okay, that little, whoops. I messed that up, showing that to you. I messed the whole thing up, so I need to reset. Hold on. Reset. Oh, but by resetting, I forgot that I didn't have. Oh, there I have my digital design technique space. Oof, phew, good. Let me go back and bring the styles again. Character styles. And paragraph styles, right? So this is what I was trying to show you, that this is it expanded style packs, which we don't care about, character styles and paragraph styles. At the top, see that tiny little like grayish line that's on the top of all of these? If I grab that, I'm going to grab all three of them. So I'm going to grab it from there and drag it over and pop it in there. And then now I have that under, I had character and paragraphs, and now I have character styles and paragraph styles. And I'm going to ignore this style packs. We're not going to use that one. I could even take it out and get rid of it, but no, just ignore it. So had you all put character and paragraph before? I thought we had done that earlier. And now we have styles. So we're going to see how far we get into styles or not. We don't have a large document here. We have some. But I wanted to show you a bit of that. Let me clear your answers. And now let's head over here. Let's just go into this last page for now. And we're not going to worry for now about the 4 images and all that. We're just going to work with font, right? And we don't need to recreate this exactly, but it gives us a little bit of a guide of what we're going to do. Now, what I could do is make, oh, I forgot to show you one thing before styles. Shoot. And the pages, I wanted to show you the parent pages, but font type. I might have time to show you both. Let's do this rather quickly. I'm going to just show you, this is pretty important, so I'm going to show it to you, but this isn't a document where it makes sense, but let me just explain, especially if you have a long document, which this isn't a long document, it's just 4 pages. But many times you have elements that need to be repetitive. And I just gave away a book that is what I usually show. But here I have another document that might work. So here's an example. It's not the perfect example though, but this is another book that I wanted to show you anyway. It's a book. Is it showing in focus? No. Process color manual. So if you are wondering about colors and stuff like that, this is a book that all it is little boxes of colors. Little boxes of colors. You see that? And you can go in and pinpoint exactly, the combination of that crossed with that is what CMYK, what it is. So it's kind of process color as opposed to Pantone. Pantone, these are created inks that you have to buy, and there's tons of them, not just one. This is, on the other hand, showing you if you combine that with that and this much of that, boom, that's the color you get. Does that make sense? Anyway, I was hoping that there'd be repetitive design somewhere, but there's not. Ironically, this is a very repetitive design, but the colors inside are different. I just put in the donation pile the perfect book that I was gonna show, but no, the magazine won't do it. Okay, here. I don't want to use this one because I need this, but it's all marked up because I'm working with this. But anyway, it's the one I have. I had another one of these that I could show you. Oh, you know what? I can use the design the catalog. I'm going to use the catalog because this one has some important stuff. So this is an old catalog. What is it? A 2017 catalog. But anyway, this is the school catalog. Okay. So when you open, I hope it was still designed that way. Yeah. So this is an example of a design that when you open it up, it has elements that are going to be repeated after a certain page. So when you go to this page, you see this little box there? It says, and then arts, crafts, and performance right now, right? Then when you flip a few pages, see down here how now it's the same element, but it's a bit lower, and it says body, mind, and spirit, right? And then you go a few more pages down, and there's a blue box there. Got it? And so on and so forth. There's a green one and so on and so forth. But each one of these spans 5 or 6 pages of that repetitive, 5 or 6 pages of that, 5 or 6 pages of the next one, 5 or 6 pages of the green one. Does that make sense? So it's an element that has to appear in the exact same spot, not in almost the same spot, but in the exact same spot. Because when you look at it on the spine, you know, you have the blues, the greens, the yellows, and then you flip like that, and you need to see them all in the right spot. So that's an example, a great example. Or, for example, if you look at the bottom of this page, so this is typical of magazines and newsletters and stuff, and then you flip to the next page, that same box is there again. You see what I mean? With the same information. The only thing that changes is page number, but it basically says how to register, who to call, the year. And so you see this in magazines all the time. Next semester, I'll be teaching designing a newsletter, a digital newsletter, or design a digital magazine, which in the end is just more InDesign and bigger projects and bigger products, so to say. So it's not so much about the digital magazine or the digital newsletter itself, but it's creating bigger things. But the important thing is, what if we need an element to be repeated in the same exact spot again and again, and you don't want that to ever shift and the design to change? So that's what parent pages are for. So I'm going to head over here to the pages, right? And over there it says none and a parent, right? So what I'm going to do, let's double click to open up the parent pages. So the left side or the right side of the parent pages. Let's go to the right side for a minute because that's where our front cover is. Okay. And in this side, I'm going to create that box like this. Let's go back actually to the bottom. Sorry, let's go to the front cover and let's select these 2 boxes. Since we already have that design done. You guys have that design, right, in yours? Yeah, 2 boxes in the bottom. Okay, so let's assume that those 2 boxes have to appear on all of our pages. Let's say that it's, for whatever reason, we're designing it and that they have to appear in all of our pages, right? So let's copy. So let's select those 2 boxes and say Command or Control C to copy them. Yeah. Now let's go in our parent page to the top right side. And if we say paste right now, it will paste somewhere in the middle. I'm going to undo that. If you go to edit, paste, and place, it'll put it in the exact same spot of where you copied it from. So I'm going to do that again. A regular annual paste, then we're going to have to snap it to the right spot. Does that make sense? So there's this better shortcut, which is paste in
I'm
place.
sorry, I'm not able to select the squares.
Okay, so it's possible that you might have left it locked last time we were working on type and we had locked our graphics.
Oops, okay, sorry.
The
Yeah,
layers. I had
locked.
to do that earlier when I was demoing something, and that's why I remembered. So you can unlock your graphics and then you'll be able to select your boxes. Okay, did that work? All right. So now I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to go up here to the right-sided parent page, and I'm going to paste in place. Now, that is going to work for the body, but what about this left side? If it really needs to be at the bottom of the entire document, then when you zoom in, this would be what would be the trim size, and that's bleed. But in this case, it's going to bleed over into the next page, right? So what we could do in here instead, since we are going to be doing this on both sides, we could select this size and just drag it all the way to the other bleed so that it's on both sizes. It's on both sides. And make sure that it snaps into the outs, into the other bleed. But in this case, remember that it went a bit beyond the bleed. I don't know if you remember that we were trying to keep it a little bit past the bleed so that the white strokes would not be inside of the bleed. Remember that? We did that here. Let's make sure to do that there as well, to keep the white strokes outside of the bleed. Okay, once you have that done, give me a yes. All right, so we put them in the parent pages. All right, Eric, okay, good. So now let's go to our document. And it turns out, like, make it page 2 and 3, page 2 and 3, page 1. Now, of course, when we don't have a page, our extension is showing up through. I'm doing it rather quickly. We might have created a separate one individually, but this is the important thing. Go ahead into page 2 and 3 or page 4. I'll go to page 2 and 3. This is untouchable. It's inaccessible. It's not something that's going to budge. It's going to be there in every single page. Does that make sense? So it's inaccessible. Now, in page 1, we still do have the version that we had copied from. So we might want to select that just because we still have a version and we can, you know, delete that. Oh, that's going to be a problem because this shows up underneath. It's not a huge problem. We can, you know, bring this in so that we can show that, but it's a little detail that I had forgotten because by deleting those that we had made it go over that photo, but the parent pages are below everything. You see that? All the stuff that is appearing before. So this, that's only for this page is appearing above. So I'm going to just grab this little bit and leave that little bit open so that I can still see the white border to it for the front page.
I have a question, Diana. So now we have 2 times the squares.
I deleted them. You
The
select
top ones or the lower ones?
the
the-
ones that were here in page 1. I deleted them because I'm going to let the top ones be, not the ones that were here. Okay, so the 2 that were grabbable.
So I go
remember,
to layers to
these
delete
are,
them?
no, these are not grabbable because they come from the parent page. So if you
Oh,
have 2 that you can grab, those are the ones that were originally there.
okay. So I just delete them like manually. Okay, got it.
Because now these are not grabbable. If I want to move them in any which way, I need to go up here and I need to move them from here. And if I go look, I've messed it up. They're gone from everywhere. Does that make sense? So now when I do undo, they're fixed everywhere because I'm moving them from the parent pages. Got it?
Okay.
So the parent pages are telling me what every page is going to have. Normally you would treat the cover and the back cover differently, but right now, since we're just teaching you what the parent page is, I'm just doing it rather quickly and I'm not giving you a different design for front and back. But let's add a couple more pages. Let's go over here. And again, I'm not going to do too much of big page design here, but just a few more. So we're going to add a page 4 and a 5, right? So we're going to head over here and we can click on this plus sign. Oh, I was in the parent page, so I didn't do that. And then click over here, click one of these, and then give it a plus sign and a plus sign 2 times. So now we have 4 and 5. Okay. Was everyone able to make 2 new pages? I didn't
Yeah,
get
but
it.
you have a 6th now.
Yeah, because I added 2 pages. So now it's from, instead of 1 to 4, it's 1 to 6. That's why I made 2 to make sure that I still kept the order. You know, I still need a front page and a back page. Paula, you're looking puzzled. I clicked twice the plus sign to get 2 new pages in there, a new spread.
It's because when I clicked, I created 2 pages at the the double pages at the same time.
You have to click twice to create double pages. I click 1 time, I get 1. I click 1 more time to get the next one. That pushes the last
Let
one.
me try.
Everyone create 2 more. So
Okay, it's working.
let's have an 8-page brochure.
It's working.
And let me explain why it's okay to have an 8-page brochure, because I'm going to show you one more thing. So what if pages 2 and 3 need to have this color? 4 and 5 need to have another color, 6 have another color. Now expand that to saying that there's 20 pages of color 2 and 3, 20 pages of colored 4 and 5, 20 pages of color 6 and 7. Can you imagine that? But right now, we're just going to say that these need different colors. Yeah? So let's go over here, select your parent pages right there. Now we're not selecting a single page, but a parent page. Go and select a parent page up there. And now we're going to add, that was A parent, and this is B parent. You see that? Yeah? All right. So now let's create a C parent, and I can grab this in here. So now I've created 3 sets of parent pages. Notice that in parent, the whole spread shows up as opposed to the individual ones, right? Are we good with that? We created A, B, and C parent. Paula, Eric, Peggy. Okay, so here we have A, B, and C parent, and all of these are called A. Can you tell there's an A there? These are all replicating A parent. So let's double click on A parent. Let's select this because in the parent I can select it. Let's copy it. Let's go to B parent, paste in place. But now let's change their colors. I'm going to select that box and I'm going to make this one be, and I'm going to I'm not creating cute colors. Okay. I'm just going with what's here. I'm going to go with blue and yellow. I don't know, the blue and red. I don't know. Very different one. That's B parent. And then I'm going to select those 2 and I'm going to double click and I'm going to C parent. And again, I'm going to paste in place. And for C parent, now I'm going to change the colors again to looking for something totally different. Green and what colors do I have left? Green and pink. So I have very different A parent, B parent, C parent. Okay. So each of my different sets of parent pages has a very distinctive color.
Does it make a difference when you click on the parent, whether you click on the left page or the right page?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just because,
Okay.
well, only that when you click on the left, it shows you that one in the center. When you click on the right, it shows you this on the center. But since we're kind of spanning the whole thing, it doesn't really matter much. No.
Thank you.
Okay, so here, this one is the red in the bottom is too similar to the pink in the bottom. Let me give the pink a different color in the bottom because it's too similar. Go with cyan. Okay, so that's very different for me now. Okay, so why did this matter? Now I'm going to head over to like pages 2 and 3. We're following A parent. Now I'm going to go to pages 4 and 5, right? I can click both together or I can just do it to one, but I could say click shift. So I select both. And watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab the B parent and I'm going to just drop it on top of that. And I'm going to grab the B parent and drop it on top of that. So now that one is picking up B parent. Now I'm going to go to 6 and 7 and I'm going to drop C parent on 6 and 7. So now when I go and check out my document, each one of these is repeating whatever's in the parent, which might seem like, why didn't you just do it on these pages? But now I'm thinking, remember, there's 20 pages of this, there's 20 pages of that, there's 20 pages of that, right? Or even 5 of each. Does that make sense? And now I can design whatever I want inside of that. And it doesn't matter. Nothing moves, nothing shifts. If I ever, they're going to be always in the exact same spot. They're going to print exactly the same way. And if I want to change one of these, I'm going to have to go to the parents to change it, right? But in here, I don't have to do that anymore. Does that make sense?
Yes, but I don't know why.
So a typical thing would be to have, like I said, the name of the say that this is, let's go over to the A parent page and say that over here you're going to put in the file. And again, we spent so much time on this in the newsletter and stuff, which is really quick. Make a little box here and let's write School of Extended Learning, which is SEL. Let me just make this bigger. Ah. Okay, so I just wrote School of Extended Learning. Again, I wanted to do some more fonts in the back, but say that you put that there in the parent page A. And I don't care if it's right or wrong or too big or too small. The whole point is whatever we do here in the parent page, now I go down to the parent page and there it is, right? So you're going to have that now. Since we'd made, if this had been A all the way along, let's do that. I'm going to put A and A over here. Then each one of my pages is got the School of Extended Learning on it. Does that make sense? Since we made one document for both, they've changed, even though this is B and C, it's overridden by the A, right? Just showing you how anything you do up there now shows up everywhere, which so many of these things, as I said, look at this catalog. Every one of the pages has that same thing at the bottom. Phone number, summer, this was the, what, a 2017 catalog. Registrar.
Don't get it. Why it's, sorry.
Say that again?
Why is it extending to all the parents A, B, B and C?
I forcefully, no, it doesn't to B and C. I just grabbed A and dropped A again in there. But if I have B in that one and C in that one, right, then I'm going to have to copy and paste that from parent page A. I'm going to copy and then go to parent page B and paste in place. And then parent page C and paste in place, which I'm making it more complicated than necessary by having 3 parent pages, but I'm just showing you that.
So everything you put in A reflects in B and C?
No, I had to paste it in again. These are independent completely, these 3, but I'm making
I
them the same.
No, but
Whatever you put in the parent page is going to be identical down here. Okay. I went in it backwards. Usually I start with a long document to show this, and I do want to show you some font. Let me see the time. Hold on. I'm the one who brought this up a bit. Yeah. So imagine, let's do this. Let's imagine that the document, we're going to add a bunch more pages. So look how we're going to do it quickly. Go to the document now, leave the parent pages. So this will make be a bit more impressive. Leave the parent pages. Let's go to the document and let's head over here where it says that it's an 8-page document. Let's make it be a 28-page document. Hit 28 over there and then hit return. Boom. Suddenly we have 28 pages. You see that? So you had, for that to appear, you had to have nothing selected. If you had something selected, you'd be somewhere else. So click away so that there's nothing selected. Then the properties will show you the choice for 28 pages. Was everyone able to add 20 pages or whatever to their document? 28 pages? Have I lost you? Have I confused you too much?
Yes, I was able to create, but again, I don't know, when I added to the A parent School of Extending Learning.
It stays only in A parent. That's the only place it is.
No, it multiplied to B parent and C parent.
Well, that shouldn't have happened. I had to copy and paste it into C and B and C.
Oh, wait. That's really weird. Now I'm only seeing in C parent and I'm not seeing on A parent or
Could be
B
that
parent.
this is small, so you're not seeing in them. You have to grab and pull down to see all your parents. I should have just made 1 parent, but now that I gave you guys 2 or 3.
No, I don't know.
Okay, so share your screen. Let's see what's up. Anyway, meanwhile, you guys, you see over there how suddenly you have 28 pages. Go ahead and go to the parent page and add an element, put a little star, do something and see how it shows up in all 28 pages. Pull in a photo, do something while I help. Hold on, let me see. Okay, so there you have,
I don't know. I thought I had added.
here you have your 3 parent pages, right? So double
Yes.
click on
So I
A.
thought I had added here, but apparently, I think maybe I added on the C,
Got
and
it
I
on
thought
C.
I added on the A because I see I don't have anything on the B and
Yeah.
on the A.
Yeah, because you can only add it on one at a time.
Okay,
Now-
okay.
Truly, this is, if you look at, if you don't have any other C's, you won't see it here because this is all A. So none of it has it. So go back to C, go back to the C parent now. Double click to get there. Now select this, School of Extended Learning. Okay, you have to choose the selection tool. You're not typing anymore. So go to the selection tool, select it, copy it. And now double click on parent B, say paste in place. Okay, and now go to parent A and paste in place. So now it's in all your parent pages, okay? Now, what you can do is choose any of these and drag them down to say maybe the second part of the, so you can select these and call these all B or C, whichever you want, by dragging them and putting them over.
Just dragging like that?
Yeah. So drag it on top of that. Yeah, let go. Good. So that one became, see how the colors changed? Double
Oh,
click
yeah.
this page, double click on it to go to that page. And you're in page 18. You can tell here you're in page 18 and it's following the C parent information, the B.
But
or-
what on the other side, it's still A.
Yeah, so because we have this document going across, it doesn't matter, but I would, to complete it correctly, I would bring the second one also. Yeah.
Do I need to bring the other side or does it matter?
Bring the right side onto the right side and the left side onto the left side. Yeah, we don't have any elements right now. This side is empty because our box begins over there, so it's considered part of A page, the left side page. And then the text we only put on the left side page. So really our right side parent page doesn't have any elements that begin on it. So that's why. Okay, now you can bring the C to any of those, but you can also bring it to many. So, okay, I'm gonna stop your share because it's working fine. Oh, guys, I forgot completely to have you guys do any screenshots whatsoever of all the work we've been doing. How silly is that? So at the very least, let's do one. Oh, God. Let's do, let me share my screen again. Let's do one of Bridge where we see the package, the packaged files, and then let's do, so I'm going to go into the Bridge here, recreate brochure. So this is the packaged file, right? With the instructions and all the fonts and links and stuff. So let me give you the, code. Let's put it in the chat. So I can't believe it's almost the end of the class and I forgot this whole time. Okay. So this is package the file InDesign packages the file by creating a new folder where it copies all the elements, all of the assets really it's called, for this project, including links and fonts. We then created a special PDF file with with printer's marks to send to a web press, let's say, kind of printer, and one without printer's marks to send to, I'm going to say Vista Print digital printer. Now, why we did that is because here at the top, it included a PDF for viewing purposes only, meaning it didn't include the bleed. So we can't send that to a printer. I just wanted to explain why we had to create the new one, because the one that was there was not good for printing for either printers. These two are the versions that we created for the printers. Okay, publish that. All right. Phew. And then here, I'm going to do a quick screenshot of the multiple pages in the parent pages. And I'm going to post that, and then we can continue. Place material that needs to be in the exact same place repeatedly in the parent pages. That's a quick enough response explanation of that, even though it's really a much more that you can do with it. But anyway, oh, that is not the screenshot that I need. So where did the screenshot go that I just made? There it is. Okay. Back to InDesign. If you guys haven't yet, do at least the screenshots, and then you can later post them. So this is our final class, believe it or not. So don't forget to post them in time for me to see the stuff, and then come closing up the class and everything. All right. So that's, I mean, we can keep playing around with parent pages and stuff like that, but the reason this was reminded to me is because styles, in a way, when I had you guys open the styles and paragraph styles, in a way, it's a little bit like this, in that you create something, and then that you can use across the whole document, right? So you would create a font that's going to be your body font, a font that's going to be your title font, a font that's going to be your postscript font or whatever, and then you set it up as a style, and then whenever you go write something in page 43, you just select, oh, title, and then you go to page body, oh, this is body font, oh, this is subtitle font, oh, this is, caption font. Does that make sense? So we're not going to get deeply into that right now, but that's what styles are. But let's do a bit more work with fonts. So if I go to my pages, we left that final page way in the bottom right there. Let's double click on that final page. But where did we leave that? This ended up here. So I'm going to cut that and paste it in the front. Or I'm going to select it, cut that, and drag it all the way to the bottom and paste it over here just to have it next to us. But it doesn't really matter because we're going to create our own thing. But just thought I'd do that. We can't even design the same exact thing because now we have this stuff in here. But what we do have, I'm going to command minus, what we do have is some, let me move this out. There we go. But what we do have is, I need to move all this file completely out, is some boxes that have been predetermined for me from whatever's at the top, right? So we're going to work within that for colors, but I don't want that School of Extended Learning here in the back page, right? So ideally, as I said, front page and back page, because I can't touch it. See how? Because it's in the parent page. So front page and back page usually are exempt from having this. So I'm going to go to the parent pages, And I'm gonna go ahead and grab the none. And I'm gonna drop it in that back so that I don't have anything in my none and I'm starting from scratch. Does that make sense? So here at the top of my print pages is none. I just dropped it onto that bottom page so that I can work on that one from scratch. And I should have done it to the cover too, but now it doesn't matter. All right. So now we still want to, let's actually go back up to the parent pages for better or for worse, copy that so that we can bring some of the boxes without having to start from 0 again. Let's copy that and let's go to that final page. And now we're going to paste it in here and we can make it smaller, right? But well, actually, you know what? We can paste it in place. Make sure that you're in the final page, double click to make sure that you're in page 28 and paste in place again. And that'll help. Only this one is independent. And we can just snap it back in. And we have it back in here. And this School of Extended Learning we can delete because it's ours now, right? It's not part of the parent page. So now we have this again that we can write in and do stuff in. Does that make sense what we just did? And if I'm leaving you a little bit behind, let me know. But other than that, if you have a chance to keep with me, that's good. All right. So we're going to make a little bit of text in here. We're going to write, what is that? Career Skills Institute over here on top of this black, brownish or whatever color box you made. We're going to click on the type tool. And this time, remember the difference between that and this? We did that at the very end of last week. What's going to happen if I do that versus this? You see this box versus the circle? Who remembers what that means? Paula, you kind of had the problem. Maybe no one else did, but remember that we had locked the
Thinking.
graphics? Look, when I lock the graphics, what happens? I'm going to go to the type layer. Suddenly it's only box, no circle. Let me explain. When there's a graphic and I have the type tool and I see a box like that and I click in it, my text is going to go and be part of that box, which is not what I want because then I can't move it efficiently, right? So I need to undo that. So what I had taught you to do was to lock your graphics down and go in a new layer to the type layer. If you didn't do that, you can do it in here as well and just block your boxes, right? And then it's still, so you don't need to create a new layer, that it doesn't matter. But at least you need to lock the boxes so that the type doesn't go into the box, rather it lies over it. Does that make sense? So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and lock the whole thing and work in the types up and tools up there. And I'm gonna click and drag and make a long box along here. And the thing is that if I want that to be centered, the best thing I can do is start my box at this is the margin line, remember? So start it at the margin line and end it at the margin line. So whatever I write will be easy to center amongst the page. So now I'm going to write, and I believe it's all uppercase, Career Skills Institute. And it's coming up in unintelligible, I wrote skulls. Skills Institute, and it's black and I can barely see it, but I'm going to leave the type tool. I'm going to go back to the selection tool. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change that text to paper. Whew, so I can finally see it. Even it's not the right thing, but at least I can see it. Let me show you again what I did. I finished typing. I had my type tool. I just wrote Institute. Okay. I have to leave my font, go up to the selection tool, and then I'm going to change all the text that's in that box, which happens to be what I just wrote. I'm going to go over here to the fill, but it wants to fill the frame. What frame? That would be the frame, right? That box that I just made. I don't want that. I don't want any color in that. I want to fill the text. And I'm going to make it be white. And so paper is white. I could make it yellow or something, but for now, let's keep it white. Now, I also want to center it, and then I'm going to try to find other stuff that I want to change. But right now, let me just center it. So if I go over here to my tools, since I am choosing stuff that's type, I'm getting the boxes here. Otherwise, I could go over here to my little boxes that I have here. And the paragraph is the same as that paragraph. And I'm going to click the center so that it goes to the center. And since this font is sticking to the top of what I brought, I'm going to have to just bring it down a little bit so it's a bit more centered. And now I can work with getting it bigger or smaller. I don't want to change the font itself, the style of font, until I can see it bigger. So I'm going to go back to character and I'm going to make this bigger. And I can do it with this little plus sign there, or I can do it with moving up and choosing a different size font. Or if I don't want 30 and I don't want 24, if I don't want one of those, then I have to type it in there and say, maybe I want 22, right? And then it won't change to 22 until I hit the return. So now I'm somewhere in the middle, right? But it's not one of the ones that are. Now, how easy is it to see that with all those lines? Click away, hit the W, and then you look at it and you go, oh, okay, it's kind of centered. That's not bad. There's still more work to do with it. How are you doing? Give me a yes if you're following, if I'm going a bit too fast, or if you need something else. Any questions, let me know. We're still good. Paula, you're good?
Where did you add
Add
the
what?
text?
Text? I go into the type, the T for type.
No. Did you add to a specific page or parent page?
Yes, we're in the last page, but you can do it to any of the pages. I don't care. But we're in the last.
Okay, I wasn't sure. My bridge is stuck.
Well, we're not using Bridge right now, so that's okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
You know, as long as you're in any, you could be doing this at any page. Problem with all the other pages is that they say School of Extended Learning. Just go into the parent page and delete that word School of Extended Learning, and it'll delete from everywhere. And then on any page that you can find, we're just going to write some text on. Okay, so it doesn't matter which one. At this point, I'm using the last one, but for no reason really. Okay, so I'm hitting the W to see whether the text is centered, but since that might not be my end text, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go back up to the selection tool, select my text box again, and now I can choose a font, and I'm going to choose a sans serif font. So I don't care to imitate what we have. I just want a sans serif font. So I'm going to click over here and oof, it's not here. Let me. There, that's the box. So remember how to find a sans serif font. If I don't want to search everything for a good sans serif font, I would go to the filters and I would say sans serif. There's still hundreds, but at least it took away the rest, right? And then I'm going to just go ahead and go up and down on a few. I think it needs a pretty big font, so maybe that might work. Or if I go with Arial, remember I can go in here and do Arial bold. Oh, I'm missing. Here we go. I can choose one that's more funky. I don't really care what we use. We're not right now making it look good or bad, but just showing you that if you choose one that seems too skinny, well, this one's 12 of them. I'll open that and I'll see if maybe there's a black version of it, right? Or black oblique or something like that, if that's what you choose. So I don't really care. I'm going to go with one of them. I'm going to go with this one just because I'm showing it to you. And then when I hit the W, I discover, oh, in this font, things are different than before. So in the other font, remember how it was centered, but now I've changed font. So you can't really do too much to it until you decide what font you're going to use. So say that this is the font that I'm going to use. Now I'm going to have to move it up again to recenter it in its box. Does that make sense? Now, it's very fat, bold font, and there's a ton of letters together. So I want a bit more space in those letters. So I'm going to select that. Let me just move this up a little bit so I can't move up to show you. Oh, because it's the last page. I was going to put it up here, but it's the last page, so it doesn't move up anymore. Okay. So let's go to the characters and let's learn what some of these other things are. I think that the font I chose needs a bit more air in between. It's just kind of fat and no air in between. So I'm going to go over here. When I have all these character choices, one of the, and when I choose my pencil, it disappears, but here we go. This one here, right there. And that's a bad choice because I'm hiding. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to show it to you here because this won't disappear every time I do my circles. So over here, that one there versus this one here are the two that I want to show you. So this one shows that it's the space between the V and the A, right? And it's showing you a long line underneath, meaning we're going to add to the entire word. Versus this one, there's a line between the V and the A, and it's going to add space only between the V and the A. So let's go to this one here. And if you hover over it, this one's called tracking. And I'm going to go to these arrows. Let me just go faster. I'm going to go to this arrow and just add a ton of tracking so you'll see the quick difference. So watch my text. I'm at 200 tracking. Boom. See how a lot of even amount of space appeared amongst all the letters? That's what this one is. Now I'm going to go ahead and say minus 100 and they all got crunched. And somewhere in between is 0, which is what we started with, right? So depending on the font you chose, you might need more or less space. But let's say that I need that much, really 15 minutes left. Okay, say I need that much more space or that much more space, right? Now let's zoom in for a minute to that text. And if this was a headline that were like the cover of the front page or whatever, I would have to look at the letters that are inside this document. And it's not so obvious right now with this font. For some fonts, it's more obvious. But if I look at the word career, doesn't it look like the C is further away from the A than the rest of them are? It's a little bit of a visual, and we know that it's correct, but just the shape of the C that finishes there and the A that goes away gives us the impression that it's farther away. This can happen a lot in headlines, and we talk about it more in the Illustrator class when we do text, but let's go ahead and select our type tool this time. Back to the type tool. Okay, oops. And we're going to put our mouse in between the C and the A. And that's this second choice. Okay, the one that has a V/A and it says kerning. And I'm going to exaggerate again. I'm going to put a lot of space between those two. See how I'm making only the space between one of the letters change? And then I'm going to go ahead and go back to kerning and I'm going to give it right up close, too close, right? But somewhere in between, hopefully we'll find the right spot. So I'm going to go back to 0. I wanted it to be a bit closer. So maybe I'm just going to slowly nudge with these arrows, right? Until I find visually the right spot. There's one more thing. I'm going to go back to 0. Sometimes the right spot, there's a difference between optical and metrics, and sometimes optical does it. In this case, it didn't do it, but you might want to try that one first. And if not, I'm going to just move this over a bit, just a little nudge. I think -10, that does it. Maybe between the A and the R, same thing, just one little nudge. When you're doing headlines, you got, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. When you're doing headlines, you have to be very picky about these kind of spaces. Kerning and tracking are very important. So some words, and we use in Illustrator class, I work with some words that are, whenever you have very curly curved words next to long lines and whatever, you end up having these weird spaces in a word. So over here, the worse that it gets, it's over there, which isn't so bad, but I wanted to show you those tools. You have that in Illustrator and Photoshop, you have them everywhere. Now this last S here, it looks like it's kind of escaping a little bit. So I might click in there and might make that space a little bit smaller, just between those so that it kind of looks like it belongs to that word, little things like that. Now, I don't know about you guys, but the space between career and skills, or the space between skills and institute, looks bigger. And again, it's because of how this one's reaching out, and that's a single one. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to enhance the space between those two. So I'm going to actually make it bigger. So now the space between each word seems, I know I'm being too precious for this one title, but I'm trying to show you the tools. Does that make sense? You get it to where it visually looks good. It all looks like it doesn't have weird spaces in between. Now, if you now decide to change the font, you're in trouble. Because if I now change the font, it could be that in the new font, that spacing isn't going to get eliminated. It's going to stay. And in the next font, that spacing might not be appropriate for that next font. Does that make sense, you guys? So you first choose your font, and at the end, you do these kind of changes, because once you do them, you're kind of stuck with them for that font. It might work out that the next font needs the same thing, but other fonts might go, oh no, now I'm touching my C and my A. Okay. If this were to be, let me go ahead and save, if this were to be something that I'm going to repeat, right? So let me get my type tool now and write something else in here. I don't remember what the other thing said, but let me just click and drag and make another box here. And here, for it to be more visible, let's make it here in the white. I'm going to make a box right here. It's another type box, right? And if I start writing something right now, start writing, it's going back to the font that I used before, the Minion Pro 12 points. Like that's the default point, set. So how do I get that to have the same as this, right? You guys, I don't say that I need to rewrite many different maybe each one of the type of things that we teach has to have this headline, and we just don't want to be inventing this again and again and again. So I can select this text, right? And this is just my little mini one character style, or I guess this would be a paragraph style, but let's just go with character style. A really quick version of this. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to click the plus sign, and I made that character style 1. Normally we would actually call it different things, body, whatever, but I made a character style 1. Now I select this new box and I click character style 1. Oh, it went white. So that's why we don't see it. Let's put it here. And it became character style 1, right? That makes sense? Now that character style 1, we would probably call it headlines, and another one would be body, and another would be whatever. But okay, so let me show you that one more time. When you start writing something, oh, that's a line. It's going to try to go back to the default setting. Okay. And so maybe this is going to be, I don't know, profession. Oh, hello. Why is it not typing? Professional develop. What's happening? That box isn't. Let me do another type box. Professional development. Right. And I want to put it over here, but I want it to be the same. Now I don't have to recreate the world. I click on that character style. Right. So basically when you create a whole style sheet, that's what it means. You'll create styles for top, for bottom, for middle, for everything. And then when you're making a whole document, now you're on page 45. What is this? This is a caption. Okay, you go over here and you click on whatever caption you decided the caption was going to be, what character style. How about this School of Extended Learning? Well, let me head over to my parent pages and let me select my School of Extended Learning in the parent page. Oh, I had my graphics locked. There we go. I'm going to select my School of Extended Learning, and I'm going to also call it character style. Text white. Hello. Why is it not working inside of the? Oh, it is. It's just that it's too small. My type box was too small, so I had to make my type box bigger. So now if I, unfortunately, we're running out of time, but if I look at my pages, I'll see that every place that I have the parent page, 11, 12, 13, see, these are all those parent pages. My School of Extended Learning has just picked up that same font that I did at the bottom all across all my pages. Does that make sense? So now I'm going to grab this and pull it a little bit more centered. And now that carried all the way down to all the other pages. Now it didn't carry into the other two parent pages, but that's okay because all I need to do is select that and give it that same character style. And the reason you don't see it is because it's too big and the box was small, so I need to make the box bigger. I know. And page parent C, I'm going to make that box bigger to start with so it can fit. And then I'm going to make that character style 1. And there we go. So we haven't done many character styles, but you got the idea of how useful they are. Most documents, a magazine, something like that, it'll have like, 10 different 10 or 20 different character styles for all the choices that you've made, right? And now we'll make changes that go all across the document. How's that working? Let me just, I have a couple more seconds. So first of all, let's take a screenshot of the character styles and one sample of it maybe here. I'm going to go down to this bottom page and I'm going to show it on 2 pages. There we go. Do a screenshot of this. And I'm going to show you something in Illustrator. But I'm going to put this in here. Oops. Recreate the same font choice and size and version, regular font, regular bold, oblique, whatever. Each time you need a subtitle, for example, by creating a character style or subtitles. So this one, we called it character style 1, but it could have been called subtitles, for example, right? Anyway, that's just to show how easy it is to then recreate the font for everything. I'm going to have you guys just do a little demo. I'm going to show you for a second something in Illustrator to show you that everything I just told you is exactly the same for Photoshop and for Illustrator. But Illustrator has one different kind of font that I'm going to just show you really quickly. And again, take the Illustrator class for more on this. But in Illustrator, you can either click or click and drag. If I click and drag to make my text, it's exactly the same as up until now. Hold on. And if I make this say, I don't know, school, since we're at it, School of Extended Learning. This is called area text. Okay, whoops. Sorry, I'm just got the zoom is in the way. Okay, so this is called, why is it frozen? Hello? Hello? My Illustrator is not responding. Stop my share, see if it's okay. It's still frozen. Okay, now it's working. Let me share just Illustrator again while you guys are posting your final things. Okay, let's try that again. Here I'm in Illustrator. Okay, I have two types of fonts. Okay, I can see what was happening. Right. So I have either the same as what we did before. I make a box. It comes in with text already. Remember placeholder text I kind of showed you last time. It comes in with text already. Unfortunately, oh, that's a good way to show you the libraries. I'm going to go to InDesign, which you can't see right now because I'm not sharing it, but I'm going to go put that character style in my library. Where did it show up? It's going there, but I don't know where it's putting it. Anyway, I just put it in my library and I'm trying to go find it in the libraries here now. Character style, there it is. Boom. No, that was the first character style. Where's the other one? Oh, because I hadn't selected. So it brought me this character style. Okay. And in design I hadn't, but anyway, just showing you that you can also, okay, I'm going to select this character style. That one. There. Now it appeared. Okay. I know. It's time. Okay. I just put it in my library and now I can go over here and I believe, did it not update? Style. Character style 1. I didn't give it a different name and that's why it's overwriting. That's my problem. Since it's just called all character style 1C and it's all different characters, I should have created a new one, but never mind. Trust me that you can do that, but I'm in such a hurry and we're done with class. Let me change its name and call this one career skills style, which is not how you normally do it, but it's just for CSI style, Career Skills Institute style. There we go. I'm going to select it and send it over. Okay, so here it is, CSI style. Select this font, select this text, and make it CSI style, which of course you don't see because it's white. Or let me make a colored box behind it. It's a bit too complicated here. There we go. So I just made my lorem ipsum. This is that CSI style. Okay, which since it was white, I couldn't see. Because I brought it over in the libraries. So now I can continue in Illustrator. But anyway, that's one type of font that you can do in Illustrator. And I know the class just rang the end, but let me give you one last thing. In Illustrator, there's a different type of font style, which instead of clicking and dragging to create text like we just did, you actually just simply click. And that kind of font style, as opposed to before, so let me say again, Career Institute. That's all I'm going to do, Career Institute. This kind of font is like an object. Like it's as if it were a box. I can stretch it. I can do stuff to it. It's as if it were art instead of font. You couldn't have done this to the other font.
How did you get that?
So this is in Illustrator and I'm just sharing it and showing
Okay.
to get you guys to take the next Illustrator class. You can play with it. You can do so much stuff with it. You can turn it into place, convert it, not outline. You can convert it into You can start selecting one letter, another, you can do whatever you want with it. You can play, you can use stuff to suddenly make the
Oh,
bottom
that's so cool.
bigger, like you can really, I'm trying to say is you can have much more fun with fonts and do weird stuff. And that's where we create logos and stuff in Illustrator. And in design, you do this stuff. In Illustrator, you do that stuff. Okay.
In
All right.
Illustrator.
That's all. I don't expect you
So
to.
you can actually take a
What's that?
drawing class, Illustrator, when you can't draw.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's interesting because my entire family, they are all artists, and my sister, I mean, she's just a genius at drawing, right? I can't tell you how should she is. And so I always decided that since I was as good as her drawing, I don't know how to draw. That's what,
Oh, I just can't.
what they decide. And in my case, I decided I didn't know how to draw. So I became a graphic designer, which you don't need to draw. You need to be good at layout and space and color and balance,
Right.
a bunch of stuff. But when I need an illustration, I hire it out. And my sister, in fact, has done illustrations for me or other people, but I'm not necessarily an illustrator, even though I use the program Illustrator, but not
Right.
I make logos and stuff, but I don't sit there and draw a beautiful tree, Anyway. All
Well,
right.
I can't draw a thing, and I made I
Yeah.
did all the artwork and made my screens up myself when I was silk screening t-shirts, but I can't draw.
Yeah, you wrote over there that you were doing screen printing. You know how Eric had asked about screen printing, and Barbara wrote that she used to print 1 and 2 color water-based ink on 2 t-shirts at a 4-station table. That was Barbara's comment. I don't know if you saw that. And Eric had asked about that. Okay, guys. I just wanted to say, please put some of this stuff on the Padlet when you have a minute. And yay, it's been great. I have a lot more that I can keep showing and teaching next week. To say this, if you're around next time I teach this next semester, and you take the class, this one or any of the other ones that I teach again, I just want to let you know that every time I teach, I look for different material, different projects, I face it in a different direction, because there's so much to this, right? Try each time to do something different. And in part, that's why some people take the class again, right? Because they'll learn something different each time, even if it's the same class. I don't have levels, it's the same one. But also consider taking my Photoshop or Illustrator, other stuff where I keep combining stuff. And I am working on creating the actual InDesign course, but next session I'm teaching also a class called Creating a Digital Newsletter and Creating a Digital Magazine, which is like, who creates digital magazines anymore? Remember zines? But it doesn't matter because it's all about teaching you how to use all these things for online or not, or InDesign or multiple page documents or stuff like that. So hopefully I'll see you in one or all of those. And yeah, have some fun, play around.
Oh,
And
don't go away.
scratching the surface, but hopefully you'll
Thank you. It was
Okay.
great.
T.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
You're welcome. I'll
Bye,
see some of
guys.
you guys in Illustrator, and other than that,
Yeah, I'll see you on Friday.
Read my last
we're in
comment.
the Create Compelling Content class, which I still need people for that one. So
Read-
go ahead and
What's it
hopefully
about, basically?
it's about creating materials for
Is it like writing, or is it pictures?
no,
I didn't read it.
it'll be more like, what kind of content do you need? How do you source it? Where online do you go? There's lots of online stuff. I'll be talking about AI as
Oh,
well.
cool.
How to source materials. It's not with Adobe products though. It's all more about how to ethically, if you want, and effectively get good material online, how to source for free stuff, or how to
That
create
sounds good. That sounds really good.
using your materials and things like that. Yeah. So
Thank you, Diane.
design the product from the beginning, so to say, versus just the design itself, but what material is going to go into the project.
All right.
All right. I'll see you later.
Thank you. Have a good Thanksgiving. I probably want to see you.
Aren't you in the Illustrator? No, you're not in the Illustrator class. Yeah, you're in the iLife
I'm
class.
in it.
Thanksgiving isn't until the following week, is it? Or is it this week?
I don't know.
No, it's the following week. I'll see you in iLife.
Okay.
All right.
Night.
Bye.
Where do I?